Welcome. Second of all, we're playing a starter Pokemon format where the point of the tournament is to prove how good you are at recovering a bad draft. So you will be starting your draft with the character in your profile pick, and usually we are, there are a lot of specifics, but the idea is it needs to be an RGB unit and they need to be a DPS unit, most likely. Sometimes it's okay to be like a support unit, right? We ban the most OP supports out of the list, so popping right into our first match of the day. Oh boy. Okay, my man Byakko needs to have his secondary character on the card, but all good. Still in it. Good. They have completely different characters, so they're good for this one. Pre-bans comes out AOLC Lilias Lua. We're looking at pretty standard gameplay, aren't we?
Yes, I think we are looking at both players going for that slower win condition. And it's interesting because they both have counterattack units. So I imagine maybe we'll see even ML Elena come out.
ML Elena, how do you feel about, how early do you think Lionheart Sermia comes out here? Since we already both know these characters are very inclined towards counterattacking.
I think ML Sermia is a very neutral pick in this format, but Byakko, we do see opting for mitigation and some neutral damage instead of that Sermia pick. Just trying to anchor that draft with some sort of Aureus.
He's very quickly clapping back with green like a Briar Witch's area. We are looking at not only setup for his own damage, but also counter setup for Byakko's defenses, right? We are going to put up the immunity so the green Armin cannot stun us, as well as strip away his immunity. A big power play here, but that is going to get responded to by the designer Lilibet coming in to drop all of those debuff off the face of the earth, and we still got one more pick. So far, all of these heroes are damage heroes, and they are looking decently aggressive for a slower composition, I feel like. And of course, rounded out by the Bihu, looking to strip the immunity off the Laika, as well as a non-contact strip for that evasion buff on the Kayron. But wow, we really are doubling down on the buff games here. Shooting Star Arcades, that's a natural pair with a Kayron. How do we feel about that?
I think right side I am looking more forward to, just because they have that Bihu come out, the debuffs, very hard to stabilize against. If there is good speed tuning for right side, then EatonDeez might not be able to just stabilize with that MLKD's pick.
And I'm seeing something really interesting coming out of chat. Fumir incoming, right? We know Fumir is really strong right now. She just got released, but designer Lilibet only on one side. I think that's so far the closest hero to being a full straight up counter against that unit. And of course, EatonDeez doesn't end up grabbing her. You think Byakko might be thinking about it?
I think Byakko could be doing it just because they have one red, one green. That's all you need for that synergy with Fumir to play that slower game. But they opt for that unit that punishes immortality instead. And we have 3 immortality proccers from EatonDeez side. So it's interesting to see if he chooses to ban out this Veronica.
There are all kinds of bells that get rung here in the Epic 7 arena. When it comes to immortality, Veronica will always come out swinging. We see that the savior Auden won't be saving anyone anytime soon, and the cat boy has to go home. Fox boy, cat boy? I'm not quite so sure. There's already a cat girl on the screen, as I need you two to get me back into this hoe.
Yes.
Yeah. Look. We got that Aiden banned out, right? I think the Briar Witch Asari is too strong in this matchup, which means the designer Lilibet is too strong in this matchup, which means the Aiden is too strong in this matchup. So, honestly, even though everything is really strong in this meta, it all comes back to Aiden, right? We got that. Basically, it's an ML5, but she's a 3-star free unit.
An ML5, but from what I spy and what I scry, it might be bike time, ladies and gentlemen. And that seems to be one of the major factors of damage here on right side. We're going to need to get them ramping up, roaring and raring. And you know what? Getting a couple of counters from the opposing Kayron could be a good way to get that going.
Yes, I think counters from Kayron would have been the only way to kill this Lilibet before she is able to ramp up. So now we might be able to see this very interesting combo play out where Lilibet boosts up the team and hopefully, but it is resisted. Completely.
Wait a minute. Veronica combo completely resisted. Triple resist. Not a single thing going his way. What do we make of that, boys?
I think it is going to be a ER Briar Witch. Something that... I think so.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's an immediate counter. We're getting some of those stacks up and running, but I don't know. It's a tricky position when you lose your momentum off of 15% like that. We get the soul burn out. We need protection. We need to hold steadfast and strong, and that's what we're going to do.
Boys, what is soul burn doing on green, Armin?
I believe it makes the barrier bigger. I could be wrong.
I actually think the soul burn extends buff duration, but all we get is a somewhat strong barrier that is sometimes refreshed by LRK, but as we see the unbuffable, now EatonDeez is in a very good commanding position on the board, and kayron looking to clean up this Dilibet.
And oh boy, defense break. That's a lot of damage. Ooh. You have to expect that. That's why the designer Lilibet was so important, taking advantage of the room in between. We'll still make it this way. So the first person who, if you lost your last match, you get first pick, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and sure. I don't think we're stacking anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like if we could stack it in the game, because we have a lot of stuff you have to keep track of, right? So we don't want to give people more stuff to keep track of.
Fair. So now Dilibet not being an option for Byakko, I wonder how they respond to Berseria.
Yeah, banning Briar, which I think is, I think that's a very common pre-ban right now. She just beats so many things in the game, right? We highlighted earlier, Aiden's really good. I mean, she just takes Aiden right out. And on top of that, you beat every revive comp, and you also beat all evasion comp, and she's also pretty good versus buff comp, right? She's getting wider and wider as the meta develop.
Yes, because AU Fiend, when people started running Holy Sack on her instead of Elbrus, I mean, you naturally get value of off of Briar comboing into DPS follow-ups with Death Break, right?
Absolutely. EatonDeez, though, he's got a Ran on his side, going rather aggressive. Do you think he's going aggressive, or do you think this is more of a fake-out punch? Maybe trying to throw off Byakko off his game, right? We already see two defensive characters committed. We have the Armin, we have the Yuffie, and we're even looking at a third one in the Taiwan. Do you think that it's a fake-out? Ooh, Aiden, look at that. 3 DPS characters, all defensive. And we're really taking advantage of the fact that there's no Briar Witch here.
Yes, all self-mitigating DPSs, and I think this Ran is a fake-out, knowing Cyanox's playstyle, aka EatonDeez, but they continue to put their foot on the gas pedal with that last piece kayron pick. It is very interesting to see how they're able to break through Byakko's passive on his starter Pokemon.
I think the key here is really what shifts and what changes here. Adaptation is crucial and key. You lose the first match and you've got to start thinking differently. Now, what that comes into terms here is that we've got to figure out something, some sort of fault with our previous strategy. And I think you've pointed it out, Valk, exactly. We need DPSs that, yes, can do damage, but can protect themselves a little bit. Karina fits perfectly into that kind of framework of mine and reference. And you see kind of an all-in aggression on left side, and then like, you know, trying to find a sweet spot with Byakko's draft on the right side, you know, really meditating between offense and defense, which makes the kicker, the last pick here, really important. Are you going to push the edge on that offensive flow and overwhelm your opponent, or are you going to try to match them and meet them in terms of tempo? And it's an Archdemon Shadow.
And wow, it looks like we are going to go aggressive and then slow it back down. This is actually something, even though he's using completely different heroes, but if you watch E7WC, something Poopus is known for, right? He anchors his composition with one decently slow hero, speeds the match up, and then, you know, forces the opponent to go on the defensive, and then slows back down. It's a very interesting pivot, and I'm honestly interested in seeing how far this playstyle can go through, especially with such, like, unique heroes.
Yeah, I'm a very big fan of left side right now, just because all these heroes, even though they have like various like tempo, they're all rather independent of each other. Like Ran can be doing S3 into RNL stuff. Mercedes could be doing a lot of her sealing shenanigans, right? So let us see how the speed tuning is.
Bans go through, and I'm surprised this Archdemon Mercedes managed to stay in the game. Wow, and that's experience coming in. If you're not very, if you're not a fan of Shooting Star Arcades and kayron kind of go hand in hand. Gives her a 3-turn immunity And, oh boy. Ooh, wait a minute. That's kind of a huge turn. Goes right in.
There's too many of them.
Misses the seal and the attack on the Aiden. Procs the counter. And that's a lot coming in up against EatonDeez team already.
Yeah, we see the Hammer of Dawn swinging down on the DivineShadow, doing a lot of damage, and it's going to be coming back a turn quicker, as me and Valk have always known that when hitting a dark target, that S3 cooldown is shortened just a little bit, which means we expect to get a lot of use out of this Aiden, and we will if she keeps dodging like this, 3rd time in a row. You wish yours was this good.
Oh my god, counterattacks comes in. Speaking of short, and thank you, Kana, for the raid. I really appreciate you guys coming in. I hope you guys had an amazing stream. Hope you guys are looking at a chill Saturday. Welcome to the Victory Road Royale. We are having...
Another follow-up! And another dodge!
Yufine means she would not be doing too much damage, and ML Kayron could be potentially going and actually killing a unit before Armin is able to...
And another follow-up!
Oh my god!
And another counter! And another follow-up! Oh my god, everything's proccing! Every single thing is proccing, and now, just like a kid at the candy store, Kayron gets the pickings out of the enemy team.
I mean, we saw him go absolutely sicko mode last match, and he's doing it again this time. Abyssal Yufine coming back with a quarter of her HP plus that little barrier, hoping to stay safe, but oh my goodness, it is not a good look.
But it is not over for Byakko, because Armin is able to cleanse off one debuff, potentially. Oh, but Byakko opts to try to kill off this Mercedes, and is not able to.
That has to be the world's most active Mercedes. She's already at her S3, giving her an extra turn, but more importantly, landing a bunch of burns on the enemy team.
61 HP, man, that was so close. And with that, just drops everything on this Yufine, is going to land the final combo and take the Abyssal Yufine out of the game. EatonDeez moves on to the next set.
Nicely played on both sides. Wow, that is a very entertaining game to watch. But, you know, we saw the turn 2 rotation Archdemon S3. Some rare phenomenon that we never get to see in the current meta, but wow.
And that was just pure experience, right? 2 separate matches with the same composition. Fire Kayron with that Shooting Star Arcades. One match, EatonDeez was just holding that S2 off of the Shooting Star Arcades, holding that 3-turn immortality, and then in the second match, props it right away, and that Fire Kayron just took things home. He went ham. And you know, Fire Kayron almost sounded like Divine right there. Give me somebody that fights back. Washingboard versus Thighs, game 1.
Left us play. Oh, and we are getting a preview of their backups in case their starters are stolen. Now, we haven't seen a case of, you know, the same rep being used for starter Pokemon, but in those cases, it's really important to metagame and try to stabilize with a character that has amazing matchup into your starter Pokemon. And hey, if you... Yes.
Whoa, interesting. Actually, you see there, the 3 stars banned out. You know, obviously nobody's going to be picking those characters. I mean, they look like trash. Basically almost as bad as their designs are. But more importantly, it kind of frees up. You're kind of making a little bit of a statement there, like, I don't really care what you pick. I don't really care what you pre-ban because I've got the master plan. I'm able to adapt, to overcome, and more importantly, the more characters in the game, the more you're going to be feeling the pain. That's the kind of mindset you go in with that. And what do you know? With all the characters available, what do you pick? You pick Unbound Knight Arrowell. That's right, chat. You pick Unbound Knight Arrowell. Excuse me here for a second.
Mine's favorite, I think.
Yeah, my favorite character in the game.
Yes.
Valk, tuck me in.
Oh, it's getting late for Divine. Oh, okay.
I mean, Unbound Knight Arrowell, she has the... Whoa, what is that? I mean, we were just going to say something, right? Unbound Knight Arrowell, this is going to be a bench match. Everybody's seen that. I mean, one of the highest win rate characters on the ladder. But, wow. Followed up by the Tehu. That's new, right?
Hey, who?
See...
Hey, who?
This character, going into the Green Landy matchup, I am rooting for Thighs 100% now. Like, I know the Arrowell pick, but now... Teyu's got that anchoring potential, you know, Thighs is really playing that slower draft. Oh, we are getting some more Bedge Landy tank
No,
down.
I think it's not bench at all. You were saying anchors. You brought this curse upon us, you motherfucker. It's time to anchor away with Navy Captain Landy. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to your queen. Say hello to your absolute slayer. And you know what? Just to throw it in a little bit, let's get Red just a little bit. Let's get his chipper and a pipper and pick out the Arunca coming out. You know what? Let's also pay respect to Poods. Rest in peace, my man. Fell asleep as always.
Yes.
Get some respect out to him, following up with the Angel of Light to finish the draft. And what does that get responded to? The Architect Laika. As I said beginning, Thighs has a plan. He's an architect of himself, and by his design, it'll be the end for Washingboard's time. We're saying goodbye to that devilish angel and goodbye to our mastermind as we get right into the game, ladies and gentlemen.
And I think if this is a fast green Landy, it's really possible that Washingboard can just close out the game by his third turn on that DPS pick, because he might be able to simply pick a Arunca to just kill any character on the board on right side and stabilize their draft.
Yeah, very interesting. Mediator Core does go first, but I mean, there is a very scary looking dude that not a lot of people know about following right after Rage buff put up. Now on the Teiyu, I mean, we got the big mad buff, the strip is coming in, and there's going to be an accompanying reset. Hits 3, but doesn't hit the Arunca. The Arunca is the one you really want to tag there.
Now, it's really interesting to see. We don't know which of Teiyu's 7 hidden passives actually got activated on the activation of that S3. No idea, so we're going to have to tell. Oh, but it was the dual attack one. It's the one that causes the enemy to dual attack, pushing us up and actually putting left side in advantage with the Landy push out. Bombs away all those stuns, all those buffs means a delightful caravan for us to get into the action. And Senya wants a piece as she revs up her own passive.
This is going to be detrimental to Thigh's team because Senya's passive causes a barrier to happen, and now Arunca is able to freely select who to kill with this devastating S3, goes on the Senya, completely nuking her out of the map, but gets countered back. And now Shermia is proccing. However, we do see Airwall getting that turn and potentially destabilizing the win condition of Shermia going on here. And once again, we are presented with this challenge of this Landy unit, showing her to be the superior Landy to potentially win out the game.
Shields up, stun comes through, extra effectiveness, doesn't strip the buffs off of the Lionheart Shermia, but we do get that stun knocked out. That is going to lock her away for almost like 1.5 rotations. Going to be a lot. S1 comes out on the Arunca. Landy senses herself in danger, is going to start trying to burn down the Arunca. I mean, Senya already went down. Teiyu's a blue unit, not likely to be able to do much significant damage. S2 comes out. We are going to try to keep this Arunca alive, and her burn damage going into the ML Landy is going to be key to be closing this fight out.
Now, we've got another turn up for the Teiyu. Is he going to activate his 50-50? Yes, he does activate the third passive, getting a dual attack of his own. Equal equivalence, giving the enemy a dual attack so he can get a dual attack. Genius strategy actually coming out of the character. This is why he's used so often in the meta. The unexpected, the wild unpredictability means you have to adapt to what Teiyu brings. And speaking of bringing, Arunca's here to bring the pain. The queen of the prairie is on the prowl, and she's going to put down this foul knight. That's right. Say goodbye to your Navy Captain Landy.
Oh, definitely.
No, it comes close.
Arunca with attack buff just does so much damage. A lot of people even considered it a nerf, but whenever you are able to set her up, she just takes any unit behind a barrier out of the game. Washingboard sweeping game 1. Arunca making the difference in this format. Fellas, is this what we expected coming into today?
Thighs, being Giga Chad, still opts for the first pick, says, nah, I am sticking to my queen, Senya. I don't need any more information, and I will still round out my drafts and completely outdraft and close out the game with that 4-5.
We've also got to think about what the battle of information presents. The more information you have, or the more information you're presented with, the slower your ability to react and think about contingency plans will come through. Maybe less information might be what you needed sometimes. In that case, maybe the first pick isn't the worst thing in the world. Valk, you were about to say, you handsome devil.
Wow,
It's still my turn. Taeyu's on the board right now.
I was gonna say, like, you know, we are still seeing the same opening breakthrough, but Taeyu comes right back, and I mean, he's picking it very aggressively into these green units, but also now with the DJB. Not a unit that's very often seen in this meta, so I'm curious what he plans on doing with this character.
This time he's punishing the barriers.
Oh, that would be true, right? I mean, this locks away the hand guy S2. If you want it to be roundabout, right, that would be a way to protect your Senya. If you run a low effectiveness Senya, you're challenging them. Hey, if you S2 my Senya, I will invert all those barriers, and that kind of eliminates the possibility of this landy being, you know, very squishy. If you want to run a hand guy plus DPS composition, this would be where it comes to an end.
Yeah, I think Thighs is posturing to end up taking the momentum back right after Hangai's turn. So Hangai is somewhat punished in pressing S3, right, because of Taeyu's one of his 7 passives, but also, you know, punished to press S2. So Hangai is in a bit of a pickle, but we do see washingboard respond with Senya. Oh, and not. So they aren't running back the same draft. They are going to anchor down with Aiden and have a supportive, disruptive pick there.
Yeah, Aiden's still very strong this meta. I mean, just evasion is very, very powerful up until the point where I believe sleep gets buffed. And on top of that, Faithless Litica, a slight bit of a risk when you're still picking into that 4-5. But looking at Thighs, he already has one opener out of the way. So perfectly comfortable racing him here when he knows he still has one more pick in the bag.
Yeah, you see something interesting here, actually. Washingboard, I think, making a critical mistake, I'd say, with that Savior Auden. You know, really betraying himself in a way that I think will bring a lot of bad karma to his team. Named Washingboard, but kind of messing things up, you know, with the Landy, checks out, with the Flitica, checks out. When we go with the Auden, if you take a look at her buffed profile art, I mean, her buffed artifact art, don't really think she's fitting the vibe of the rest of the team. Might cause some jealousy and inconsistency on left side's draft that may ultimately bring down that unity that he was talking about with his Landy earlier.
Ooh, and I think last pick coming through. This is like so strange to me, right? Navy Captain Landy falling to last pick, but that's just the name of the game, just how the format goes. Not the best composition to be taking into it just because Green Landy is so strong. And on top of that, we have the Zahak staring down the Aiden. Lionheart Senya picked up as the recovery pick. So it is looking like a hand guy plus squishy units type composition. So no S2 on the board unless he's willing to take some risks.
I mean, he's got to take some. He doesn't have to take too many risks. He is ahead, but you know, let me tell you something. Washingboard's got a lot of options here, and even if he does lose, we're only a couple days away from him to be able to hit up that light altar and start finishing up some of the.
I mean, this is kind of the thing I like to see, right? A lot of times, you know, especially with this Twitch content meta, we perpetuate units having to have perfect stats, units having to have perfect GS, and it makes me feel alive when somebody is blasting on their way through a tournament, winning matches left and right, and, you know, they're not fully awakened on every unit, and, you know, I think that's perfectly legit. They don't have to be.
They don't have to be, indeed. In fact, that kind of flex may be exactly what you need, especially when you're heading into the match with that speed. Zahak coming out.
I wonder if this Zahak is actually the resource reduction EE, which would completely neuter Senya on subsequent turns, but still, he opts to S2, pushes up the Taeyu to somewhat get some tempo, and who does he decide to nuke here?
I mean, yeah, he is a dog, and he is hunting one singular prey. Auden needs to get out of his way. And speaking of which, now that distraction is out of Taeyu's mind, he could come here to do what he's done, to destroy and take over whatever the fucking story was. Yeah, your sister's dead. Now go kill the rest of them.
Damn, that's harsh. I mean, I think that's always a question, right? Does rip it first turn? That was going to be my question. Resets the Landy by 1, but I don't think that helps him. Landy's a character that resets herself, so not a very big concern on the part of Washingboard. I think the bigger concern is just staying alive, sticking through your damage. DJB gets to take another turn right here, but I don't think he wants to S3. He wants the Senya to go as late as possible.
Yes, the later the Senya goes, the more likely that Landy will not be, you know, back into Guiding Lights.
Oh, and it's looking like his tempo is awkward right here. Not getting a lot out of that Lionheart Sirmia first turn. Drops a Landy S3. Big damage coming in here, though. DJB not the tankiest, and knocks out the Taeyu right out the gate. Senya even taking a crit herself, dropping to half HP. Zahak's the only one sitting pretty behind that invincibility. Big turn on the Senya. Do you run the S3 into this? If you do, you are running into 3 immunities. You are putting up counter buff through that Lionheart Sirmia, but we need to go, and we need to go now. Drops the S3. Takes, I think, like 20% of the HP off of Washingboard's team, and I think he's fine now. S1's hand guy right into the Senya. Counter attack goes through, far from over, but oh boy, what a sequence.
Senya is somewhat stabilizing with that small barrier, but is that enough? Because we have an invincibility Zahak, sure, but that Senya is prone to this strong Sirmia S3, penetrating a lot of damage. Okay, and that S3 did actually not kill DJB, and so Washingboard is forced to choose the target DJB.
Absolutely, you have one choice here. Zahak could probably take out any one of these. You got your soul if you're not feeling like you're him. And after that, it's the hand guy game, right? Do you go for the Landy? Do you go for the Sirmia? I think I burn on the Sirmia here if I were him. Doesn't go for the burn, goes on the hand guy instead. Actually, that is a play I didn't see coming.
I didn't see it. I think Mastermind Zahak is definitely seeing something we don't right now. If he could get the kill right here with the provoke, doesn't even need it when they're dead. All that's left is this pretty little princess, and she may not survive, even with Senya against her.
That was a conundrum. That was actually a choice that Washingboard had to make. Do I kill the Zahak and not proc my Sirmia S3?
Oh god, did she kill herself? Oh god, did she kill herself?
I think it's coming right here. Oh
lord. Oh no.
And Washingboard gets equalized right here by the Senya, the starter Pokemon. What a clutch out. Third game going right into the last game of this set.
Yep. Oh, this fucker picked Shu as a backup.
Are there any characters that you just absolutely detest in RGB?
In RGB, Shuna. So I don't know about you boys, but I like, because I'm a streamer, right? I like when the game is like a medium pace. I don't like getting cleaved, right? Like getting cleaved, nobody likes getting cleaved. It's not fun, right? I also don't like playing against tank support. I mean, like I'm trying to have a casual chat with you know, Twitch chat. I'm not trying to take them out on a dinner date and not do anything in Epic 7, right? I still like to play the fucking game. So standard versus standard, you know, units that both speed up and slow down the game, perfectly fine with me. But if you're like Shuna, where she has 3 skills to slow down the pace of the game, she just drags one person and holds them hostage for the rest of the time. Yeah, pretty much, right? I mean, I have choice words for that, but I shouldn't say those words on stream. Definitely not, especially when you're standing in front of the little perfect doll that is Angel of Light Angelica. Definitely don't want to be saying any cuss words in front of the person who may be judging and damning your soul. And speaking of which, damn, save our soul, save her soul, save Abyssal, you fiend.
I can save her.
If you can't fix her, yeah, if you can't fix her, it just means that you're the one who needs to be fixed. And maybe this is the girl to fix her right up. She's even, looks like she has some bandages on her too. Maybe she knows a little bit about that, you know, medical stuff. Like she could tie up your boo-boos. There's a wounded heart out there for everyone. And speaking of wounded hearts, one again, you know, Val actually told me before this. You say speaking of too much, and you know what I said to him? Speaking of speaking too much, Sharoon, speaking of her prophecies, speaking of the past, the present, the future, and all the capabilities within, is giving once again the vision on left side to win the game. We talked a little bit about last game where Zahak was the person with the strategy. Looks like Sharoon is the one with the strategy, because she foresaw Valk shit-talking her and then immediately snuck her way into the draft aboard Pirate Captain Landy's ship. I mean, Pirate...
Okay, well, I'll take it over. You take a break, No, I like the hustle you're going for, right? Architect Laika comes out, and we're staring down a Rylet for a 5th, which kind of goes 50-50 against this composition, especially with double Landy. I mean, look, man said, you're going to play Landy and you're going to leave up AOL. You got to pick one, right? And picks up that AOL on the second pick to punish. I think AOL here is going to be so clutch for the match. We are also going to be going green Luluka as the last. So, in my mind...
What a swerve. What a swerve in that ice cream truck.
I actually like this Lulucard draft a lot, just because Hangai is the only cleanser for washing board, so really threatening to you know, punish that button press there. And also AU Fiend actually stops Landy's CR push by half, stops Hangai CR push by half, stops Sharoon CR push by half, and stops ML Landy's CR push by, like, I think right side has an amazing draft on our hands.
Absolutely. You know, Yulha comes out as the last pick here, and you know, while that is still a powerful pick, you get to check a lot of the AoE damage coming through. But maybe this is like, do you think this is a telegraph for leaving out the Architect Laika? I think Architect Laika, most of the time she comes out, she gets banned, right? But I don't know if you can play this composition into double strip into the debuffs, right? I think green Luluka heckin' strong here, right? Does get taken out, so does the green, or the ML Landy, pardon me. AOL is staying up here, which is going to be a hard time for that green Landy.
Yeah, I was surprised that this Laika wasn't banned out, just because if that candy was banned out, then we're having a 4v3 situation with Thighs having a huge advantage.
Malk, do you see ML Laikas with enough damage to kill Landy on turn 1? Because I know she can often take out a Spectre Tenebra hiding out in the back, but...
So the difference between Landy and Spectre Tenebra is that stealth buff, right? If you have a stealth buff, it reduces AoE damage you take by like half. So it would have been enough, but mitigation plus the stealth buff keeps her alive. But this is where the Landy runs into trouble.
Wow.
We lose Mediator out the gate, and now our Landy is... Landy needs to look for her step, bro. That's all I got. That's all I gotta say.
Ooh, bowing out already.
Out the game.
I mean,
you know what? If you're a thigh enjoyer, I already assumed you were toxic.
I mean, call it BM, call it what you will, but if I'm fighting a green Landy and she's unbuffable for 2 turns with 0 options to cleanse, I would do the same.
I would have some ego, yes, for sure. This AU Fiend just cleaning up this Landy.
Yeah, not a lot of options on board left. Yulha just wanted 1 turn, gets Elbrist on by that Abyssal Eufine. You hate to see it, but hey, it is what it is.
Try is coming out with more emotes.
Oh,
and
God.
Does he opt to silence this Sharoon, who can potentially S3 still and stabilize left side's draft? Actually gets the silence with the soul burn, and now I do not see a way a washing board could come back. But hey, maybe there's a holy sack on that Sharoon or something.
Sack on
and
that
GG is going to come out from washing board for Thighs, and Thighs actually recovers the 0-1 deficit to start the set. Washing board well played, but is going to be knocked out in the first round right here. All we got left is play this Fro versus Flammable set. So let's put them all right in. Any predictions looking at first game? Let's go right into it.
What the hell did I just see?
Ooh, Fro's backup being milim. That is interesting to see. And I wonder
I think the other side was possibly a little bit more intriguing and terrifying in all honesty.
Actually, pre-bans, the anchoring DPS is 4 standard on Gro's part, and picking Fire Lilias.
Also, why would you have a backup for benimaru? Who's gonna? Sorry.
Look, it was on the sign-up sheet, okay? It's reasonable. Okay.
You could have showed up with a blank screen. I would have said, "Get this man in here. He's good by my books." You could have literally showed me nothing. You could have said, "I don't need a backup plan." I'd be like, "Look at this fucking Chad."
Politis does come out second pick, though. I mean, that's really interesting. I think Politis kind of, fell off, especially when supports are like green Luluka, right? You're able to fight through the debuffs. You're able to kind of just power through holding back the CR. And on top of all of that, I mean, I think the debuffs are a little bit too much. So I'm a little confused as to whether this Politis could be a DPS Politis or a debuff Politis. But pick this early, I'm inclined to believe it's a debuff Politis.
All I know is we're picking a lot of fire units with the same soul burn. Right?
That's what I'm saying. The fire units isn't what concerns me. The soul burn is what concerns me. After
all right, you lads have a fun time with it. What am I looking at?
Oh,
what is going on here?
Oh my god, I was expecting this. I was looking forward to having some sort of fire green starter, and then, you know, we never stated in rules you can't pick anything else after, like those starter Pokemon, and then following up with Fumir seemed insanely good.
We even got the Lionheart Semifinal. I mean...
yeah, she... sure.
Like, look, there are 2 units that the Lionheart Semifinal checks, and I think it's perfectly legit.
My problem is I don't think the match lasts that long.
I think the only worry
this looks like
is
two trains running at each other at full speed.
That's fair.
I mean, I absolutely agree. The more I look at it, the more I think Grills is probably just running a more hyper-aggressive Cleep composition, but you don't get a Soul Burn the Politis. You don't get a Soul Burn the Lilias.
In my book, you don't pick Green Vildred and then go, I'm feeling pretty submissive and breedable today. No, you're going balls to Araminta. Yeah, this man's in it to win it. We got all the freaks out in this tournament. Oh, okay, we're living up to the name.
His name's Grills, his ID is Flammable, and wow, for real, that's coming out right now. Man is going all in on the control. SSB picked as a reply, but surely she gets taken out here in a quick post-ban. What is going on?
Rug, are you there? You there, Rug? Can I get the meme image of Vildred being RR'd by all the fire mommies on right side?
This is the couch meme with Vildred in the middle.
Yeah.
Dang. I feel like it makes sense. You know, what do you need to start fires? Some wood. Nature. Vildred.
Water in the fire.
My man's looking like a fox main out here. Fire!
But immunity. I wonder if Araminta is actually able to strip it.
Holy shit. Araminta just goes, and he's burning the attack up on the green Vildred. We don't get a kill, though, but oh my god, Fire Lilias seizes the turn right here and taking the highest attack. Surely that's just the Vildred, and we're just ripping right through.
As I said before, that's why I did not like the line art. I think it made sense, but I don't think anything here lives long enough to take advantage of it.
It looks like Lulucar could disrupt, but actually no. My comp is built around this Fire Lilias, completely cleaning up the field, just burning everything into ashes.
And that was insane. Watching Grills go from what we thought was a more defensive composition to instantly going full on, like, what is that? All gas, no brakes, and just running it down. Once again, we saw the opener breakdown, and Fro, you know, I wanted to say he was one of my favorite guys to win the tournament, but he just gets cleaned up in game 1 right here. Goes with the Inos 2.0 as his first pick that isn't his starter.
I think all this fire really proved to be a debilitating weakness for Fro. As you know, what is the fate of the Thousand Sunny? That's right, a burning pyre, an ember, and a memory of what once was. That's the final fate that Fro has walked himself into. And if he wants to avoid the fate, if he wants the merry-going reborn, he has to seize his destiny right here and right now.
Holy shit, that was dark.
You know what can clean up fire, distinguish it? I think the gun of Inos.
How about XDD? Any XCD feelers? I see this, I'm immediately, oh my god, never mind. My man heard XDD, he's like, I'm shielded against XDD. No XDDs here, no sir.
In the middle.
Oh,
quite literally goes green in the middle. Why? Okay, sure.
I mean, Inos Offsig, as well as the Arunca. I kind of do like that. We are picking it. Man was baiting out, you know, that Senya, and Senya was successfully baited out. It was perfectly legitimate. But hovering green Vildred again, we are looking at another Fire Lilias cleave.
We
are another Fire Lilias cleave with the Araminta, and I have to remind both of you lads, you know, Grills did have the backup of the Koana, which I questioned at first, and now that I see his draft, I absolutely fucking understand why this psychopath put Koana as his backup.
Right, because one of the many Koana passives is rewarding all fire drafts.
And, you know, for as much as we like to talk about going into fire drafts, 2 grass units going into a fire draft, how do we feel about that?
They don't care. I would argue that Arunka doesn't care too much about missing hits, and G Lilias isn't too threatening, but maybe we can see it fully snipe out the Senya.
Ooh, I don't know. No, I think that's fine.
Okay, look, I'm a fan of G Lilias, right? I think Gala's really strong, but never fucking mind. Green Villager just goes. Right? What is going on?
With this S3 actually doing nothing, but Gala counterattacks, completely knocks out the Green Vildred.
What the fuck just happened?
Opposite is able to.
What on fuck just happened? Like, I'm breaking character.
Steal back momentum, the tempo. Actually crits.
Pushes back, but doesn't land the pushback on the Senya. Senya is going to go here into every character. Doesn't land? Huh.
Ooh.
Not a single blind, but does land 2 provokes here.
And actually hits the milim with that dodge chance. That is crazy.
The Fire Lilias. Fire Lilias pushes. What is going on, dude? I'm so confused, bro.
I'm devastated. I'm slack-jawed from the dog down. But you got to remember, if this hurt before, it's now a Gab Senya that we're borrowing the attack from, and it rips and tears through the whole team and procs another counter.
Green Lilias counters again, heals back a little bit, but I don't think she's going to survive. Procs a 3rd counter, but doesn't live to see it.
In the year of our Lord, in 1993, benimaru stands alone, and just like the final embers of Yahoo, the bubble bursts, and it comes down crashing. A clear, decisive win for Grills.
I'm so glad we casted this game. If this was off screen, I would be so confused. Fro is one of the people that I think plays first pick benimaru so well, and he gets absolutely blown out of the water by Grills. Flammable taking the set 2-0.
He's playing first pick benimaru.
I'm looking forward to see how Rikazo takes advantage of that on his accounts and follows it up with his starter Pokemon.
The way I look at this situation is exactly the same way my ex-girlfriend talked to me, right? These were the words. Fucking commit already, right? Make a decision, make a choice, and stand by it, right? If you have great gear on your account that lends you to a play style, play that fucking play style, right? You don't have to have all the characters available for this tournament, especially when you're first picking somebody. Gear them out of your fucking mind and make sure that you're ready to go. Don't half-ass it, and pay attention to me when we're having sex. That's the important rules of this tournament, and I think Green Laika falls absolutely into that.
Wow.
And I think it's going to be a wonderful choice here.
Following up the Green Laika, we already see the Fumir. I mean, we let her out for a reason. I think she's one of the freshest units that Smaug has come out with. Clearly, there's something missing with her kit. You know, it doesn't do everything you expect it to do, including the S1, where I feel like it kind of falls flat. But very strong kit. Whenever she activates, almost feel like there's nothing the opponent can do. And EatonDeez, you know, he's trying his best. Assassin Cartuja comes out, Briar Witch, Iceria comes out. There are a lot of ways to fight against this tank down team, but they're not comfortable ways. Let's just put it at that. Briar Witch, Iceria, and I mean, Fat Cat for the longest time, right? 15% evasion on all characters, and I think now if you EE him, he can even go up to 20% evasion. That is going to be annoying, to say the least.
One thing I'll say is I think Fumir has excellent matchup into this already because her strip and leading to debuffs is a non-attack skill, and we know how devastating that is with AOL, right?
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of strips, you've also got Bihu to provide some sort of assistance to this team, and really finishing up the trifecta, duoed up by the Rangers as well. We've got a perfect draft in position already, which leaves Rikazo's 4th, and more interestingly, 5th pick up to interpretation here. Clock's running down.
Bro, he's just picking all the units that have non-contact strips. He's going to the Briar, he's going to the Kayron with these tech picks in the Fumir, in the Bihu. Like, that's not something I expected coming into this. And LRK as well, right? He's a unit that does a lot of damage, but he doesn't really care if he crits. So on a miss, this is still going to hurt. EatonDeez drops the Abyssal Euphine, I mean, into the Kayron. It's not a perfect position, but it's also not bad.
Yeah, and to take an idea you were talking about, way earlier in one of your videos, Valk, you know, now that we're past round 1 of the tournament, you can really Marguerite this, right? You know, Marguerite, well known for the less people are in the tournament, the more he's able to use his research, use his 36,000 IQ to an advantage. Same thing playing out here, right? Now that people's picks are out there, now that you know the EEs on their Senyas, the drafts, the counter sets on their Liliases, you can start to build, and maybe even between matches, re-gear units in such a way where you have an advantage.
Oh, Bihu banned out. That is the main non-contact DPS, but Solitaria is still in the game. I mean, she's kind of a unit where she 50-50 kind of cares, because there are things that you can land when you do land your skill, but because of the way her artifact works, the way her passive works with that, man, what is that gamer girl buff that she gets where it gives her, like, the
Daydream?
extra attack? Yeah, Daydream, there we go. I was like, it's a gamer girl word, right? Oh my goodness. So, see, miss right out the gate, and now she puts on the E-girl buff, and she's ready to go to town.
It's interesting though, because one unit out of their team is running protection set, likely A cards, they are somewhat insulated against Rikazo Solitaria, potentially just stripping the barrier instead of the immunity. So we could see EatonDeez actually stabilizing and capitalizing with that AU Fiend into the Rikazo's draft here that requires some attacking hits to fill AU Fiend's focus bar up.
Very interesting. Soul burns the Solitaria turn, gets the extra turn, and he's going to start chipping down the kayron. I actually expected something a little bit different. I thought he was going to fish for the first stun onto the Abyssal Eufiend, which is usually something Solitaria has against her, even though it's not an amazing matchup. You can stun her out, and Abyssal Eufiend doesn't have a way to self-push her CR.
Resist on the Fumir.
Playing out important there.
That is very big. So potentially, but we see the resist on AU Fiend as well. Just equivalent exchange, fighting back, but actually gets a counterattack to start ramping up the AU Fiend. And now AU Fiend's in a really good position to where they can dent the team through LRK's barrier.
I mean, the AU Fiend is already at 80 fighting spirit. Rikazo needs to play faster. He needs to speed up the way he's playing. Last Rider Crowd goes right in right now. He has to go. There's not a lot of room left. AU Fiend, another counterattack, fully at full bar, so the next time she takes a turn, that is going to be trouble for Rikazo. Rikazo, not a whole lot of activators on this Fumir, so he's got to do what he can. Go, time, go now. Oof! Briar Witch comes through, 2 defense breaks, 3 unbuffable, including that Solitaria. That's something you do not want to see. Solitaria with unbuffable, no E-girl for her, not going to be able to do a whole lot.
Although there's no E-girl happening for her, it's actually might be a good thing because there's less chance to feed into the AU Fiend. Actually, AU Fiend is in full focus. Forget what I said. But however, Fumir is able to maybe disrupt and proc her S2 immediately.
Fumir needs to come up huge. I mean, the saving grace here is Eufiend is tagged with the slow debuff, right? She is slower by 30%, so Rikazo bought himself a little bit of time. Solitaria, no Hex debuff, can't do much, but this is going to be a big turn. What can we do with the follow-up attack here? Fumir's going to go.
Oh. We're trying.
Okay, so Eufiend is slept, but only very temporarily because we know her passive is proccing soon when she reaches the end of the CR bar. So I wonder if Rikazo can clutch it out before then and maybe clean up when before AU Fiend gets that trauma going.
Yep, no chance to dodge when you're asleep there.
It's actually going to ignore the Eufiend there. Green Laika goes, LRK goes, and oh boy, she's lined right up. She's lined right up, full cleanse, and oh boy, it's looking like it's trouble for Rikazo.
Yeah. AU Fiend is transforming into the girl that Divine actually prefers and actually pushes back a lot of the units and maybe even potentially killing through the LRK Aureus, killing 2. That is going to be big for Cyanox here.
That's not big, that's the end. That's all she wrote. Left side was trying its best to break out of the cage set by all of what Rikazo was doing, and as they do so, they cleanly claim the first round of this game. Rikazo's going to have to go in and find that answer right here, right now. Pedal on the back foot. It's going to be a challenge to come up with what you got, but he's
I knew
a part
Rikazo.
of Veritas.
I feel like Rikazo should have had a wanted poster too, because I knew he was a demon when he said the best artifact for G Lilias is actually Rand's artifact to get souls. I was like, what?
I mean,
said, nah,
we actually saw that coming into play last time he was in a tournament, right? I believe he used it, and then once the G Lilias went off, he actually used the souls to set up a cleave.
I don't think he used it. I think he abused it. If I'm gonna be honest with you, and it looks like Eaton is setting himself in the same exact position before. You've been talking a little bit about this new combo that's come up. A lot of the power that's joined between Abyssal Euphine and Briar Witch's Seria. Tell us a little bit more about that, Valk.
Briar Witch's Seria. Okay, so there is this flowchart in regular RTA, right, where Abyssal Euphine, as you just saw, is a win condition. The moment she's in the game, your opponent needs to stop her. But there's one very important free-to-play unit holding her back. That would be Aiden, right? Aiden holds her back. But there is another unit out there better than Aiden, and that's Briar Witch Iceria, which stops evasion units and buff-up units, right? And you see it taken away right there. But here's the problem. Briar Witch Iceria is already available, which means EatonDeez gets to pick up the Abyssal Euphine, or gets to pick up the Aiden, which kind of is a hard counter to the Abyssal Euphine now on Rikazo's side. So I would say, looking at the first 7 picks of the match, EatonDeez is definitely favored, and I wouldn't count it against him to just take it 2-0 right here, even though Rikazo's my boy.
Yeah, we see that, but we also see quite a lot, I'd say, of immortality on play on Eaton's side. Might be something to look into as we grab our favorite queen to reign on with those debuffs and hopefully put down the scourge of what left side is bringing. We tried to contain and control left side last time. It was a key part of our strategy. If we could get it to work this time, I'm definitely sure it'll swing the momentum of the match almost immediately.
Rikazo picks up the Solitaria here. Did decent work for him last match, although was not able to clutch out the rest of the game, and he's holding on to a last pick. Goes for the Fire Lilias. Ooh.
I'm curious about the Fire Lilias, because it's actually a big bluff call to say, okay, I don't think your Sea Lilias is on immunity, and I can either disrupt with Fire Lilias or disrupt with Laika. You pick one, and the other goes, and potentially allows me to follow up the Solitaria or Fumir.
Ed comes out as a last pick to check the Solitaria, and I think it's going to be a handshake. Ooh, takes out the Ed, but every unit stays in. Abyssal Euphine not going to be the win condition for Rikazo this time.
We're definitely looking for a fire unit to sort of fulfill the trinity here with our Fumir, but is this enough of a play to make? These units seem like a little bit of a hodgepodge in my opinion. I might not have just seen the brilliance that he's been cooking up while Rikazo was in the cave. Now that he's out in the sunlight, let's see what he's got.
I do like this first turn rotation though. Laika goes first, 1 base speed faster than the Lilias, but on the dual attack doesn't proc anything substantial, which means this Conqueror Lilias will be running down with the S3. But again, right, very interesting. Strips above, Fire Lilias pushes to the top, which now gives Fumir that instant first turn S3. Holy moly.
Ooh.
Getting the immunity afterwards from the music box feels a bit troll, I'm not gonna lie.
And that's actually such a big turn on that Laika S2, dragging Solitaria, proccing the F90 artifact that actually removed the immunity off of C. Lilias, who then had to be provoked by the Fire Lilias, her RGB counterpart, to then allow Rikazo to stabilize with that counter into Fumir. This is going to be a big turn. Oh, I was worried that Aiden was cutting, but no. Rikazo has a chance to fight back.
I think this is important to highlight. I want to point out here, Briar Witch has 2 buffs padding out that immunity buff. So when Fumir goes here, I'm expecting the Briar Witch to actually stay in perfect perpetual motion. She's not going to be able to miss a turn here, because when buff strip starts, Fumir strips 2, and it starts from the bottom left. She does strip 2, right? Wait, she strips all of them? Never mind, this shit is broken! What the fuck? I was yapping out here. I thought it stripped 2! Never mind, this unit's more busted than I thought. What the fuck?
I was trying to cut in there for a second, but yes, the secret's been revealed. As everybody takes a big nap, it's a real hard day out here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, real hard day. Unfortunately, we come back to the Solitaria, who might be giving them quite a rude awakening here in a couple seconds.
I mean,
Now,
she's
it's
still holding
interesting
on
to
to the
see-
S3, so she could do anything she wants, but goes for the S1, so we are going to be waking all of these units up, but it's going to be doing quite a big hit.
Have we hit Auden twice?
No, we just hit it once, because she's asleep for the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, hold on, I just realized. We didn't even get the buff yet, right? The one that
Yeah,
makes...
the speed change didn't happen yet. So this is
Using
big.
the soul burn there just to get rid of one of these targets for sure. Before we make our next selection.
Briar Witch unbuffable, meaning that she'll get dropped to 1 HP and actually freeze there for 1 attack, but no immortality buff is going to be available to her. Pulls the Fumir, not the most damage coming through, but that's what happens when you play control. You have to count your turns, and you have to play this turn by turn by turn and hope you count correctly.
Yes, the speed down on those 2 units means Solitaria has the potential to just cycle back and start doing that chip damage, which would be the win condition to kill these 2 evasion units.
I mean, we've seen this Briar Witch do so much work for EatonDeez tonight. Solitaria finally getting her S3 out the gate. Drops it on the Kayron, takes him out the game. Aiden's still available, Briar Witch still available. I think he could still potentially set up one very big play with both of these heroes, but Rikazo, I mean, look, every turn's calculated and careful. That's how you gotta play control, and he's executing that to a T.
I'm very much rooting for Rikazo here, because I want to see the 3rd game in this very close set of games where Briar Witch could still close it out with that S3, potentially killing off the Laika, killing off the Fire Lilias. Whereas Rikazo has that Queen Solitaria Gamer Girl XD.
Ooh, he goes into the S3.
He's held that this entire game. It's finally going to come out now.
But actually misses.
Oh, and was that a double-edged crescent? No, it wasn't. Okay, I was like, what was that artifact proc? Moonlight Dreamblaze should be it. Solitaria goes in once again.
Ooh, doesn't land the debuffs that she needs to.
Oh wait, it was. Aiden counter just overrode it. I see.
Now we finally got this turn coming up.
Attack down though. 15k HP. Cyanox diff. I think this might not be enough splash to kill the Lilias, and it doesn't. But Berseria shakes off the unbuffable, and so it's possible for her to just stabilize herself, while the Aiden just cleans up, because Gamer Girl is not proper.
S3 does come out for the Fire Lilias. I mean, we held that this entire time. That's exactly what we're holding it for. Lands on the Aiden as well. Jeez. Oh, not a lot of damage, though. Our high attack units are out of the game. I actually don't think there was a high attack unit. We're playing her purely for the dual attack and for the S2, and lands unbuffable on the Aiden. Does get taken out. This is a Solitaria versus Aiden.
We've got enough souls here. I was about to say, we've got enough souls to go for the soul burn here. We're gonna get hit. If we miss, we do indeed miss. The clapback comes through, but we've got another chance.
Debuffs still land because of that passive from Solitaria. Funny how that works.
Oh,
that one hits!
Decreased speed. We strip the attack buff. Misses again. Ooh, it survives. Burns into this. Resisted the unbuffable. E-girl buff comes up. Unbuffable again. No attack buff for Cyanox.
Might actually save Rikazo here.
That blind is huge. That blind is massive.
Don't be cosmetic. Don't be cosmetic. It's not cosmetic.
Oh my god. Now he needs to land it. He actually, I think it might be safer to S1 to get that Gamer Girl damage proc.
Oh wait, counterattack comes through. It kills.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh man.
What a close round.
Sweeps Rikazo 2-0. Holy moly.
Oh, these two are dead. These two are dancing at the edge of a grave right before Eaton throws.
Laika is definitely less strong with Landy being off the board, so yeah. That was a trip down memory lane, dude.
Trip down memory lane, going right into it. I want to see how XLR uses this pick to flesh out his playstyle. I mean, all the aggressive stuff banned down. No Landy, no Euphine, and on top of that, we will not be seeing Angel of Light as well as Briar Witch's area, but that leaves two very concerning picks. One, Conqueror Lilias is still in the match. Two, Lua is still in the match, boys.
Ooh.
Well, as you
That is
know,
true.
some people forget Lou exists, and then they have a really bad time. So definitely something to keep in mind as we move on forward. The greens are already on the board. XLR9 taking his sweet time to really think about what is the position he wants to take. And I think we talked about this before, right? Command model Laika commits you to a certain style of draft, right? Rikazo demonstrated that. But even though you are committed, you're still going to have to take some time, obviously, to process what you think your opponent might pick and what you can do to set yourself up to successfully intercept or redirect all that incoming damage, possibly the control, all these effects that might hurt you in the long run. And we see one of those characters right there, the Moon Bunny Domino, coming in. Great selection against some of those high key picks that that Valky was talking about before he disappeared on me, like all my partners always do.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's something you gotta learn to adapt to in life, Divine. But going back to what adapting means, I think Green Landy is not able to soul burn because of Bonnie Dom just being in the field. Definitely a very passive, aggressive presence in any draft where it just locks out certain options.
Well, if the spectrum's passive to aggressive, we're definitely going full throttle on aggressive with the Midnight Gala Lilias coming out. We saw an interesting prospect with the counter build coming out from her before. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes, especially when some tanky targets definitely showed up to the Gala.
Yes. I wonder if Gala is actually able to push through and invite more of her friends alongside the party, because guess what? It seems like Libra is playing a draft where Landy is being protected in her stealth into a lot of these tanky units.
Yes, I'd make another reference to the Gala event, but I've never been to a party, period. I don't get invited out too often.
Nope.
Unfortunate.
Wait, hold up, Divine. You can't say that. You just came back from being invited out to a party that lasted an entire fucking weekend.
Listen. Yes, we did go out to a party, out with the boys, but I also spent like half of that time helping Sue set up his camera to record footage and working on my video games in the background. So like, that's what I'm saying. It's not only the invites. I'm never at the party. I'm like Politis. I'm stuck in a room working on shit for thousands of years. It's the life.
After 3,000 years, maybe we'll finally be free. Politis picked in. I mean, I think Politis really strong against almost every unit here. And now a Karina as a last. I mean, I think that's pretty forceful as a force band could get. Milim is a really strong DPS in the spot, and I wonder if XLR is just going to take something that complements that in checking that Green Landy.
I'm sure that if you are repping Green Landy, you've got to be prepared for Milim. Maybe not so much the Edward, but on some level, you've got to be prepared for a Milim pick to come out. And so I'm interested to see if those counter strategies to this were already baked in to his pick here as we get through to the ban stage.
Yeah, he's kind of hovering it, so I'm thinking there are a few options on the table. Ed taken out, so we will be going into this end game against the Milim. Wow, we are brute forcing it. That's a little bit new, isn't it?
Yeah, I wonder what this Landy could be built like, because like we were saying, if you're ready for that Milim, then maybe you could be just, you know, Milim diffing just through build, where it's like, okay, you just build a Destro Landy that's very tanky on proof and can definitely just win you against Cleaves, right, if they commit to that all-in. So we shall see what the build's like.
Oh, okay, we're already coming off. Is that a Bastion of Perlucia on the 8th Highwind? Because this Landy starts out with a big bubble and the immunity, so wouldn't count that out of the question. Ooh. S3 comes out from the Laika. We got the immunity buff up on XLR side, but sleep does land on the 8th Highwind, so unless Hand Guy decides to do something first turn, he's not likely to be able to pop off, and even he does before immunity's on the other side.
Nope.
What's interesting is if G Lilias actually ends up proccing her passive. Oh, but they proc it early here. I was gonna say she might lose that one turn of immunity, and then afterwards poly cutting and fully disrupting the draft. But no, that's not the case. So we're actually seeing Libra opt to press the S3 here, getting off that initial damage, but G Lilias might be able to to retort back and completely nuke out this Landy soon enough.
No, but it's looking like we are going to go on the hand guy. Landy's safer now. Maybe we care more about this. Woo! 33,000 damage. Completely taking out this hand guy. Pushes up the milim. Takes a turn before the Landy. Burns one's in, and oh boy. I think she's gone, fellas.
I think that damage was more tragic than Mediator's backstory. And speaking of tragic, it seems like Landy's heading for an early grave extinction. Even if we could, we won't be seeing any more of her. And it's left to the rest of the team to clean up and dust these targets. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know what this green lily has been eating, but she seems a little different.
Let me ask you guys. What do you think a 10k damage dog bite feels like?
He opted for the 2P. We're gonna send him right into it.
Valk, you could run with that all you want. I won't be chasing, but my lawyers will be in contact. Anyway,
man, I'm guarding up with Kyla, bro. I hope your lawyers are ready for the crotch bites and the neurotoxin.
Oh my god, you're setting us to the bottom of the sea, which we won't be visiting with Navy Captain Landy. Banned out very quickly. Not going to be something that's assisting Landy herself. You only get to see one of her on the screen. And once again, it's on Libra this time to make that important first decision of who he wants by his side, and it's Conqueror Lilias.
Well, yep. I mean, we see exactly why he wanted that second pick. Don't forget, guys, because you're locked into your first pick, second pick in this mode is actually first pick. Conqueror Lilias being able to stop a lot of this aggressive action the Laika is going to pull, but XLR is going to lock in the aggro. Zio comes out, and I mean, he could pick any DPS from this point that he wants.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if we know XLR9's name and lore and previous match history, I would be inclined to not try to see Lilias. But hornylibra is putting all his cards on the table, saying, fuck it, I am going to try to steal first turn and completely punish this Laika alongside the Zio.
I mean, Navy Captain Landy and Abyssal Eupheme banned out of the game. Your DPS quality does not get better than Spectre Tenebria, but Bellion is still up on the table. I mean, Bellion is the perennial you cannot first pick Stenny character, and I wonder if that's going to come out for Libra. I think that's a very strong pick here, especially in fighting against, this style of cleave as well, and I think there are other units he could throw in that could really disrupt this action coming in from XLR.
But even though right side has 2 books being drafted right now, I would argue that Bellion might not be able to fight through all that damage, all that aggression, because as someone who would slam Bellion on the 3-4 for left side here, I would argue that there's so many games where I feel like I'm just praying for counters, the passive not really mattering on Bellion, and just being completely overwhelmed by the tempo that's gonna happen for right side here.
I mean, Libra commits into a tank as well as that Politis to stop all the CR push action, like he did last round, but XLR is actually going to hit his pivot now. Ed and Green Pavel coming out. Oh boy, that's how you know somebody's confident in their speed. This is an Asia server special. You don't very often see global players do this, but Asia players with crazy speed gear, and I'm sure XLR as well, will be able to drop this Pavel. 2 books, assumedly so with the 2 mages on his side, but Tempest Surin holding it down for hornylibra as his last pick.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Pavel into C Lilias. That is something that I will never understand. But, some people can do it. Some people can't. I'm not him, so I cannot do it.
You're not him. Well, regardless, it seems like the selections are on site. Of course, the Tempest Surin has to go, and you were bringing up prayers earlier. I'm sure that pissed off Edward enough. Science Man has decided to resign from the match as we quickly get in. Normally, it's almost pretty much decided who will be taking first turn, and once again, it is here with Zio, but the follow-ups will certainly be interesting and will be more than incidental to how the rest of the match plays out.
XLR here does get to keep the Pavel though, which I think is something that's really scary. Now, if you haven't seen this pick, you might not be inclined to respect it, but in this case, see, Lilias is fast here, but it's looking like they're even speed, and this is going to be a race.
Right, so no matter what happens with the Sea Lilias build, even if it's a high ER build that the Zeo cannot push back, I think XLR9 might be able to just nuke it out completely. Actually opts to proc the A Talon passive so that Laika has value. I think this is a complete ego play that might be very much rewarded because there's a chance where this S3 can just close out the game right now.
And I mean, we're seeing it right here. Like, the Pavel's already pushed up 1% above, so he is faster. Laika drops the S3, doesn't do too much here, sleeps the Lilia, so it guarantees the crit if you're running something like 85 crit. Oh, and Pavel's looking raring to go here. He has 4 souls to his name, a lot of options up on board, but I think this might just be able to close it out. If the green Pavel is there, does a lot of damage, but doesn't actually land the kill.
Does even break barrier on the landy. Now, XLR9 was somebody who was begging, he was braving, he wanted to show off his skills by putting his match up on stream. That's how much of an egoist he is. He's demanding the win, he's demanding to take first place, and he's doing everything he can to show off not only his units, but his own brilliance, but he fails to kill the Lilias.
How is this possible? Is this Lilias the best Lilias in the world? Because it is starting to walk and show off her fashion and is completely ready to start ramping up the rest of the team to bring in these teammates. And now Landy is might be wiping off the board.
I mean, 18,000 HP with mitigation, with Vigor now as well. Landy goes through. We got the Vigor damage, tankiness. It's all there. Full damage, blast the Stenny right out of the map. The match has been equalized. Oh my god, hornylibra gets it right back against a legend player, and he's going to put himself up 1-1. Oh, holy shit. Pause, boys. I was like, what is Frost asking for? He said, what are they fighting for? And oh my god, yo, brother, I want to thank you for the $200 contribution. They are now fighting for $450 in the goddamn prize pool. Never mind. Wow. Now I was yapping, bro. I thought I was yapping. No. Hey, thank you, man. If there's anything we can do, let's see. Well, out of all of these, only Beerly said it's for the boys. Boys are readied up. XLR wanted first pick for himself, so he wanted Libra to actually show his hand before he committed anything. So
yeah, it's that phenomenon I was thinking about where, you know, you first pick the Laika, you're already committing to the aggro, you're already giving some information. Now you want to see how they try to disrupt against your speed. And after you see that, you're able to respond, you know, perfectly with other picks in an ideal world, right?
Absolutely. I think for as important as taking first turn is in a turn-based strategy game, we just have too many tools right now that just helps us combat against taking first turn, right? Right now, first turn is all about tempo. You get all of your cooldowns out, you get your extra turns. But second turn, turn 2 right now is playing for value. You got stuff like Navy Captain Landy that can just layer up the anti-crit buff. You got all of these protection set that's adding all tankiness to all of your units. And with all of these units pre-ban out, I mean, XLR is going to grab that like a very safe and
well, he has to grab that Laika.
Yeah. I mean, he has to, right? I mean, Libra this time, like, he goes for the AOL, which is very different. He knows he has the first pick, so he goes to take out the Zeo in the first pick environment, but gets himself that AOL. AOL, I do think, slightly harder to clean, but this is where it gets dangerous. You never want to leave AOL in a game against Politis.
Yes.
That infamous switching sides here, actually.
I am looking forward to seeing some potential Caesarea cleave happening or some Sharklet cleave happening.
You know, this is also something I never thought I would really appreciate, right? And I think this is probably the 4th instance this has happened today, where you see these players switch up their opening bans because we're no longer playing stacking bans. The players are now switching it up, and I really like seeing adaptations in the ban to target ban people's strategies. And
you missed that, huh? You missed that, huh?
Yeah, I actually do miss that, dude. I used to think it was cringe, but after seeing the stacking style where players no longer get newer bans, I think in a longer series, being able to target ban and being able to just take apart your opponent's strategy from the opening ban phase gives more room for creativity.
Yeah, I agree. That post-ban becoming your pre-ban for the next round, I mean, it's something where we saw a lot of repeating drafts being run back, but now we are seeing hornylibra, even though he is playing Landy, he's unleashing AOL to be able to abuse it versus the Laika. You know, he's got more information now. He sort of knows the preferences of XLR9. It's the final match to decide who moves on. And so he's saying, you know what, I'm going to uncage this character that can make up for the deficiencies of my Landy and go from there.
I think you highlight something interesting and important there, Ace. You know, hornylibra is kind of coming out with a mentality, trying to gauge his opponent. But from what I could see, especially with getting a little bit more spicy with the Roy Mustang there, and even possibly here with the Sid for the last pick, XLR9 is perfectly showing off his mentality, which I think is the most important thing when you're both tied 1-1 in the matchup, right? What is your mental? What is your drive? He wanted to be here. He wanted to show off his skill. He wanted to dominate and prove to other people why he is a top player. He's not going to go down, and he's definitely not going down without a fight. So get back, claw your way through. He picks the Ida, completes his strat, and stands tall, asking his opponent, respond. But it will not be enough.
And the one thing I really want to highlight about XLR's draft is that he's extremely good at picking out anchors. He puts himself in a scenario where, I mean, I think he had Ed before as his anchor, and this game he has Roy Mustang, which is a unit you don't usually often think of as a cleave anchor. But if you look at it, he does fairly decent into AOL, right? He doesn't need any cooldowns or skills. He just does what he does. He's good into Landy as well. And, you know, looking at Ed, he doesn't provide any debuffs, and he's a straight damage character. He's able to identify all of these common weaknesses within his opponent and find himself the best in slot anchor for any aggressive draft that he's trying to run with. And I think that's always really interesting to see from a cleaver.
Yeah, and I'm definitely rooting for right side right now just because I see the synergy of Laika and Ed. Laika and Roy. Like, I was cleaved by that so many times, like 3-4 seasons ago. I do not want to relive those experiences. I do not want to be that beautiful princess who is actually too evil and, you know, kills people with her claws and be burnt alive. But I think we might be seeing that.
Go into the match. We see the Aiden banned out. We don't want anything disrupting our heavy AoEs, as well as the Politis, which is going to be such a death sentence when we are playing the Angel of Light. Very scary pick. Laika goes for the first turn, targets the... Holy, what is that damage? Nukes the AOL by, what is that? Like 60% of her entire health pool right there.
And now...
No, go ahead.
XLR needs to make a decision. Does he proc AOL potentially? Does he proc Bunny Dom? He actually chooses to proc both. And now it's a very interesting match because they get immunity. Ed actually cannot counterattack versus Ida. And we're actually looking at a game where potentially, if she gets those pushbacks, which is vital to his win condition, he might have Roy just clean up the rest of the team.
Yeah, Roy's in a unique position, but one he definitely wants to be in. With no blue on left side, it means he gets to keep that buff, and there is no rain to come down on his parade. He does end up getting silenced here with the soul burn, making sure that we get through what we need to get through, and it's up to the Conqueror Lilias to make this decisive play. It really might all be decided here.
One very intelligent play from Libra. Instead of going for the silence, he is going to push back the Roy, so we are looking to interrupt the combo. I mean, that's the best way to beat any cleave, is not to try to out-tank them or to outspeed them. It's to interrupt their turn, find ways to steal their turn, and pushing back this Roy is exactly what you need, because the B-Dom is going to be able to get a turn which chains into the Landy, and when you can chain turns together, that's how you know you are on the path to winning, but still looking quite scary. We go for another Soul Burn, puts the Roy to sleep, doesn't boost the Landy. I was wrong, wow. Very intelligent turn cycling, full stack Landy. We are going into it, and we're blasting.
I'm scared. This did a lot of damage before, and it's coming on through. Ida's protected, but it's left us at half, almost across the board.
We consume 2 souls, both with the B-Dom and the AOL, so Ed doesn't have a soul burn here. He's going to go into this dry, goes purely on the cooldown, runs into this, goes on the Laika. Vigor keeps her alive. She survives at 5%.
What is a miracle before my eyes? Laika survives. Keep in note, though, we get a little bit of a surprise there. Laika survives again. I'm sorry. I wanted to talk about the injury.
That attack,
that injury, that survival.
Oh my god, that attack down did so much work.
Actually sleeps Bunny Dom. This is such a huge turn for XLR9 to potentially come back. Roy is ready to go, but, you know, still, Ed is on the board and potentially able to try to push back or kill something.
Gonna have to kill something quicker. I'm gonna wonder why he even bothered to show up. The situation is getting more dangerous by the second, and our police chief is sleeping on the scene. Come on!
The situation is critical. We don't have Mom here.
Goodbye.
Pulls another duel with Roy, and this is looking all but over. We're gonna burn once. We have Gab. Roy doesn't land the crit here, though. Oh boy.
Oh, but he looks pissed. He looks pissed. He's going for another hit. That one's going to crit, and it's going to say goodbye to Edward Elric right then and there. What are you doing to my lieutenant? He says, putting down the police chief. Coming down on the fascist state, Roy Mustang, classic as always, cleaning it up and leading XLR9 to another victory.
And the XLR moves on, taking Libra out. I do think that's extremely well played in the face of a legend player. You know, one of the top 100 players in the world. He held his own, and he even managed to bite back.
Show match, give him everything you got. Cook 'em grills. I want to see that White House level cooking.
I mean, look, if it's up to anybody to catch this villain that we've been warning everybody about, I think it's on a chef. Let's see what type of villain he's up to today. I mean, as a villain would, he puts Rimuru up with his starter Pokemon. I mean, that's one of those units we anticipated. I think he's, as far as putting a DPS unit up, like, this is as neutral as you can get. That S3 is element neutral, and on top of that, he's going to be disassembling all buff-based playstyle, but you know, Grills, known fire unit enjoyer. I wonder if he has the edge in this matchup we got.
Now, you have to keep in mind, I've said this before, light villain of this tournament, only cementing that legacy even more with the dirty Rimuru first pick coming out. A real degeneracy go. You know, we were talking a little bit about that fear of communism earlier. Nobody supports it better than Shuna and his communist misfit Shuna. You also got to watch out for her. You know, she's equalizing HP. He's equalizing buffs.
Your buffs are buffs.
By these?
Oh boy,
now we're seeing the interesting draft here, where Fumir, as predicted, being a pivotal pick for this RGB opener starter meta, and he's actually opting to race without committing to any sort of imprints.
I think this Knockwool here is what's really scary. I think that's one pick that I not a lot of player who was picking Fumir today really capitalized on. But Grills pulling out the Green Bazaar, that's a unit I haven't seen in 3 years, and I remember him fondly. So, that's interesting. I don't know what's going to happen with him, but Light is going to look to pivot away. We stabilize with the Ed pick and kind of cycling through the last. See what we have. Designer Lilibet comes in as the last. And
picks the Araminta fearlessly anyway, too.
It just looks like man doesn't give a fuck. I'll say it right now.
I think he's, you know, like Bear Grylls, man with a plan. Like, he knows what he's going to ban. He's slamming all his cards on the table. He is burning up this forest.
He's burning up this forest. He'd need a little bit more wood than usual. Come bring the double green, and both the guys over there, their wood will come in handy because we are building a pyre to break down right side team. Araminta will be gone, as well as Knockwall. Thighs is crying currently in chat as we speak. Unfortunate for him. But the match must begin. The show must be underway. Will Light steal another villainous win, or will he be cooked by Grills?
Now, this is the part where you're actually praying for that anti-50-50. You want to push back everyone, but you do not want Ed to go. Actually hits the Ed, soul burn, so it's guaranteed that Ed is not going to resist, as he, you know, tends to do, and actually get some tempo back.
Oh, Ed bounces back the extra attack. Rimuru bounces back the extra attack, and it's not exactly looking ideal for Grills. Greenville just gonna have to rip it here. We're holding on through pure natural speed, and Dilibet catches the push. Rimuru's still out here. Now we have two characters cleansed out, but no buffs to equalize. I think Light has a lot of options on how he wants to play this. He's going to be able to steal a lot of turns with the next few turns he's got coming up. B, who's the first in the radar, that is the main DPS for this comp. Not a lot of damage goes through. That's the power of a Bazaar when picked against a Rimuru, but Dilibet now, S3, defense buff. We are going to be ripping this. Lots of damage comes through. Oh, takes out 2 already.
Yes, and with this game board, I doubt Bihu is able to actually start a fire.
start much of all, unfortunately. I think a little tap and he might have to tap out himself.
S3 comes out on that Fumir. Ooh, pop, pop, and just 2 pixels of HP left on 2 characters. Light is going to be taking the first win in this set.
I wonder if Grills will adapt and ends up picking a Fumir to carry that tempo to start that initial spark, or is he fully committed to the character of being flammable and saying no, I am not picking units like Karina, I'm not picking units like Fumir, who actually respond pretty well to that Rimuru nuke.
All I'm gonna say is I've seen maybe this Grills guy play about 10 matches in my entire life, and I've never seen him give a fuck before, so would not surprise me if he continues on that proud tradition. This is a man who doesn't care. He sticks to his game plan and he floors the gas. Both slow units banned out again, as well as Lua AOL banned out for Light. I mean, that's as standard as it gets. We are going to see the Politis first, so that is going to be somewhat interesting. Holding back the CR as well as holding back any non-attacking skill potentially targeted towards the Fumir.
And I'm hoping to see the classic green here in the 3rd position. All gas, no breaks as we're pushing forward and forward into this matchup. We saw a little bit of the adaptation earlier, but what do you think is in the mind here, AceTrainer, for Grills as we count down for this 3rd pick?
I think Grills is always thinking about a grass pick because he needs that initial match to light the spark, right? But I will say, this sort of cleave that Grills is playing right now, this playstyle is something that I started watching Light playing. And so I think Light is very much prepared for whatever shenanigans, whichever Tinder match that Grills is trying to cook up.
Oh boy, and you're absolutely correct. He goes for the green Lilias, which is a green unit, but Light responds with the Shuna. Now, that's a unit I don't like, and I'm very public about it. Slows the match's pace down to a halt, but I do not know if that is the strongest pick you want to take against something like the Politis. Hovering over another pick right now. It's looked like he's fully in defense mode, going on the kayron as well, but actually, wow, goes for the Winter instead.
Yeah, I think that Winter pick naturally responds to the G Lilias so well. It really depends on how fast the Winter is, but if you're able to outspeed G Lilias, you can take back the tempo almost immediately and actually proc off of Fire Lilias. So I'm excited, even though Divine was ready to get that blanket because he saw that Shuna. But
the danger here is I don't like Winter when there is a Politis on board, because now all Grills needs is, like, you know, a Conqueror Lilias, which is one of the most common picks you can have in the game, still up, by the way, and now the Winter is immediately a liability to your team, but he's going for the green Luluka here, maybe looking to equalize some of the buffs, stabilize a little bit, and cleanse out his team. Solitaria taken for Light, just to check the focus of the green Luluka, so I'm expecting a handshake trade towards the end there.
Not a handshake indeed. We instead reach into the pocket and rob us of our Science Man once again. Taken out, but not taken out permanently because we're not playing in that game mode where if you ban a character, you never get to see him again. As we go into the match with Winter, taking and dashing the stage, going first.
Oh, wow, that's something that you do not expect. Winter goes first, and it's looking like Light's entire team is going above what we thought was a cleave team. Winter drops in real early, S3 comes out, lands right onto the green Lilias, drops stun, extra damage comes out, and green Lilias is already looking like she's in a lot of danger.
In fact, she's already gone.
And with that, it seems like Rimuru might be able to solo against a fire element DPS because, again, that elemental advantage, even though Frenzy reduces some of the damage, is a lot of oh my god, because it's a cleave Politis, it actually gets one shot by the fixed damage of only 4 buffs. Actually 5 buffs because Winter is providing that stealth. Wow.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Rimuru's even reaching into his dirty little pockets for another pull as he comes out to steal the buffs. Oh my god, this little miscreant.
I mean, he's doing everything he can. Burns on the Lilias just to push whatever damage he can, but Fumir S3 comes through, and I think this is going to be just enough to take things out. I mean, Fire Lilias might be able to cleanse herself out, but there's still the extra damage, and there's still 3 members left on Light's team.
And that's far.
And tomorrow, Light does have the opportunity to re-gear from today, but I just noticed the artifact on Rimuru on his second hit. It is this Uberis Tooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were calling him a villain. I definitely think he's got some villain bills up in here. Of course, we're all joking. At the end of the day, I mean, this is a community game, and we're all friends with each other, you know, but damn, some of these builds, they go a little bit too hard.
Yeah. We're all friends, obviously, jokes aside. I'm sure Light knows that. Everyone here is good with everyone else, except for me and, of course, Prof Boy. I will have my revenge. You better sleep with one eye open at night. And just like that, we're coming towards the end of the game in a similar way. I just don't see Lulika, you know, even with Truck-kun on her side, pulling it out here.
Grills is doing his best. He's fighting it out. Gets critted by the Shuna, and that's how he goes out. Dives to a Soul Weaver crit. Game match set goes over to Light, and you know, GG's to Grills for holding it out. He gave us a lot of hope. I really thought he had this. Didn't get to see much of top bracket, so depending on how you guys go, I think we can probably pick 3 matches out of the 4.
You think she's a first picker? Or she's something like 2, 3, 4?
I think she has first pick potential. What do you think, Val?
In draft mode, yes, because strong units that need specific units to counter them is always very high stonks, right? That's why control is so strong in draft mode.
All right, well, enough of that. Talking about a completely different mode. You know, I can't... Both of them just fucking hate AOL. Bless brother breast. Keep on preaching as we get back into the game, as I like to say. Now, you guys know I have a lot of proclivities, a lot of words, a lot of sentences I like to say. Keep an ear out for how many times Valk robs them from me, just like he's pretending to be Rimuru right there, stealing my gimmicks from me, my buffs, and everything that makes me special. And then we get the first picks obviously coming out with the Lilias and the first introduction, the Ocean Breeze Lulika, who has seen a lot of play in the tournament thus far, even so up into the second and third pick. What do you think about that, Ace?
I think Lulika is a very strong neutral unit in this format just because we see RGBs coming out. As soon as you see some RGBs, some of them have non-attacking skills. That's where Lulika gets value. You know, you build her with some effectiveness. You can definitely really stabilize your draft just from having her as your 1-2.
Yeah, and I feel like we've seen a lot of her synergy coming out with people, starting off with a fire starter, going into her because she's green, and then completing the trifecta with the Fumir, right? You know, a good, solid comp that seems to be forming itself up. But when you need a solid comp, when you need to come up with something that's strong, why not just rip open your fucking wallet and pull out some ML5s, right? See the flash of the Navy Captain Landy. We already got the Conqueror Lilias on board, but instead we reach out for the Destina instead, with both people going easily and early on into the tank support, a favorite of a lot of our competitors.
Yeah, and I would argue whitebase isn't actually tank support because he's already committed to the Rimuru, who, depending on the build, could be a supportive pick with Death Break, maybe even potentially landing Death Break with high effectiveness on Lulucar. So we shall definitely see the build of Rimuru for whitebase, who is someone that we haven't seen really use out their starter.
Ooh, and like you called, that Fumir does come out. Abyssal Euphine follows up as the anchor DPS for Adamantoise's composition. I think he played his opening conditions really well. 3 units that were going to be incredibly weak into Lionheart Sirmia, and then pre-banned out so that he could just roam free, go wild with all the units he's having. Fumir, as well as that Abyssal Euphine, is just such strong win conditions together, and all he really needs is something on the last pick to really pop off what he's got going on. Navy Captain Landy does come out for whitebase, like you guys said. This is one of the strongest units right now. She has a chance to win versus any matchup, and on top of that, he has one last pick to stabilize and round out that composition versus Adamantoise.
And the reason why Landy is so strong here is just because she cannot be slept at all. So even if she's death broken, she can definitely rob some games. But we do see Adamantoise's side some anti-synergy, I would note, with Fumir and Euphine. As soon as Euphine procs a counterattack, if they weren't slept or if a unit cleanses like the Stina, then she can actually wake up her whole team by forcing the counterattack of Euphine here.
I mean, depending on, you know, how much of the defense break lands and how much HP they're at, I would even say you might want that to happen. I mean, Abyssal Euphine counter AoE attack into 4 defense break is pretty scary, I would say.
True, yes. But we see the Lethe, who I would argue...
I was about to say, Knockwall feels like... If you're confident, Knockwall feels like she's strong in this position. Almost wish I'd said it so I could get the double prophetic call out on left side's draft here, but I definitely feel the vibe coming out from it. Fortunately, Knockwall and her thighs are going to be missing from the game. Destina gets bound out as well. Who do you think is favored in this position here, Valk?
Ooh, I'm definitely in favor of that Abyssal Euphine anchor. I think she's really strong, although there's a lot of big threats on the right side. You got the Lethe, you got the Navy Captain Landy, and you know these units have a very high chance to just throw this game completely into disarray.
If you look at the CR here, though, it actually now I am looking to favor a Lethe side draft just because there is higher speed on Lethe than there is on Fumir. So Fumir takes 2 turns to ramp up.
Really important here, though. See, Lilias goes, and that does activate both of the openers. Whoa! That's a lot of effectiveness. Provokes the Luluka right there. That's going to screw up the turn order royally for Adamantoise's side. I mean, he wants to put up those buffs. He wants to cleanse, maybe even combo into the fire. Lilias, first Lethe S1 does go on. It's going to proc a counterattack. Not a lot of damage goes through here, and we are going to see that Luluka missed the turn. Fire Lilias goes.
Okay, and Fire Lilias disrupting and taking the turn here is actually so big because now Fumir can potentially already S3 on her turn. Gets the perfect drag, I would argue, on Rimuru, on the Euphine here, and just does some chip damage to Rimuru. Rimuru procs, potentially disrupting the turn, but not actually. So depending on what left side does here, they can actually control Rimuru outright and stabilize their composition.
Yeah, we are going to rip this S3 onto the Navy Captain Landy. Slow comes through, pushback comes through, and we're seeing this extra attack. Like you said, perfect opportunity cuts in. We land 3 sleeves, 1 defense break, and the fixed 9K goes through on Navy Captain Landy.
Yep, we just need to wipe away all those buffs that are now smuggled up on right side. Gonna unfortunately have to wake some of these poor bastards up, which gets a counterattack out of Navy Captain Landy. But with the damage we've got, it doesn't feel too bad. What will feel too bad, however, is getting dragged out to the bottom of the sea. The ocean is calling with Lethe.
And when the ocean is calling, nothing can really stop it. Not even Lulucar, not even Fumir. Because it seems like...
A counterattack first. Will this kill Landy? Oh, a goodbye song right before. All right, gets in the Kingdom Hearts 2 opening.
Oh my goodness. It takes out the Navy Captain Landy, which is the biggest threat. Holy sack, not going to deny the revive out of the Euphine. You know, I was going to say that was going to be the big unit. That changes the whole matchup, but here she just goes right down. Adamantoise needing to stabilize here versus whitebase, and oof, Luluka finally goes. We land 3 silences, 2 blinds, but is it going to be enough? I mean, Fire Lilias is still a hard hitter. She's going to be doing a lot, but is it going to be enough to knock the Lethe out of the game? That is the question for left side.
I would argue it's a DPS race on the Rimuru and the Fumir because there's chip damage coming from Fumir giving attack down on the Rimuru. You could potentially be controlling him the entire game, and if you kill him, then maybe Lulucar, Lilias could solo even if Fumir dies to Lethe.
I think the interesting thing here is what is the Lethe going to do in terms of targeting? There's options up on the board. She's going to be dragging somebody soon, and this turn is going to tell us exactly who she's looking at for deletion, and it is the Fumir, which means she's got 1 turn left on the clock.
Yes. 1 turn left, and while her clock is ticking, it might be somewhat broken because she still has that blind debuff. No cleansers. I am still rooting for Adamantoise somewhat. Not biased at all.
Not biased at all. Well, you're going to have to keep your bias to yourself because, unfortunately, we are very professional casters around here. Oh, fuck! That missed! Anyway, easily see a soul burn here out of the Lilias for the extra turn, maybe possibly pulling the damage we need, but we need it soon, and we need it fast because Rimuru is bringing down the damage, the thunderous clap! Taking the defense buff, getting the defense break on the red Lilias as well, and setting up perfectly for Conqueror's turn right here and right now.
Ooh. We are seeing a bit of a wet noodle fight here. I mean, it's going to happen when both of the heavy-hitting anchor DPS gets knocked out. But, ooh, Tentacles comes through. Lethe gets another. Does she claim the life?
It does not, and that's big because that means no healing for whitebase here. And if there's no healing, then there might be an easier chance for them to finish off this Rimuru before he becomes a bigger threat.
Rimuru does
I think it's time for that soul burn I was talking about.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
That soul burn is going to be huge. And actually, it doesn't even matter who she drags because Fumir damage negligible, but Fire Lilias just, you know, holding out on her own just with her S1 multiplier, killing off that Rimuru.
Fire Lilias really holding it down in lieu of another DPS. Fire Lilias, the tank of the comp. Even though no Aureus, she's going to be the one to carry the damage load here. Another S3 comes through for the Lethe. We see that double debuff coming down, 2 Frostbites as well as 1 Restrict. Conqueror Lilias is going to walk here. We're putting up the Vigor buff. We need to extend the longevity of these characters. Fire Lilias can't get her push. Does land the Provoke, and oof. At least these drags don't feature any damage. Otherwise, Adamantoise is looking worse for wear.
Now, he's got to put down the Fumir. You can feel that has to happen sometime soon, but he's not in a position to do so. And if he goes for this, if he goes for the Red Lilias, it's not going to be favorable since he might be applied here with a dodge. I mean, a miss. Yep, miss is applied. I don't know about the chances.
This is huge. I think he might want to switch targets. Go for something like the green Luluka. That's a much lower health target.
Yeah.
Ooh, wait, Touch of Rekos does top her off to half health.
Touch of Rekros, the Ice Cream as well. Lots of healing.
Wow,
And it lets her survive
healing.
with 1 HP!
Which means Sea Lilias has to drag onto the Fire Lilias here. But now it's a game where actually Fire Lilias might be able to help supplement the damage a bit and maybe kill Sea Lilias. We shall see if this turn... Oh, he actually does get the fixed damage this turn with the S3.
Oh, he is going to drop the S3 on the Lethe. Lands the pushback. Fixed damage. Extra attack comes through as well.
Yeah, we needed this now. We definitely don't want the Lethe to have access to that speed buff, to constantly be able to cycle herself. We've got 2 targets debilitated and down for the count. Which one are we going to wake up first? Oh, we're going to wake you up into an early grave. Sit down and shut up!
Frenzy 5, the damage is coming through. I mean, even if these are health scaling, non-heavy attack scaling characters, they're still going to be hitting really hard for debuffs on this Lethe, so she is going to just tickle, but oh boy, another Kraken comes through. If the
A miss. She's gone back to full HP because of the Ice Cream as well. Does she survive? Healthily, she does.
One more turn on that defense, but can the Fire Lilias lands? Because if it does, it's all paid off. Miss comes through, but oof. This is coming down to it, boys. I actually, based on turn order, don't know if... I don't know who wins, but I also don't know if whitebase got what it takes. He needs another S3. He's got the Soul Burn, so he needs 2 turns. Both attack speed up and speed down, so...
I don't know if it's going to be enough. The Red Lilias can only miss so much, and she has access to a Soul Burn here, but she might not get it, as you said, because the Lethe with the speed buff comes back around on the CR bar for a second whooping. That's going to set her up perfectly. Extra turn as well, and now someone's going to the grave for sure.
I mean, not a lot of ways to survive that. On top of all of this damage, getting the kill, she is finally going to land the heal from this. Not much in late Frenzy. Frenzy 7 only healing for about 4k, but this is going to be able to keep her in there. Now she just has to hit this Fumir, and it's all said and done.
Wow, that was an amazingly close game. That was so entertaining to me. And that Lethe speed up S1 just showing to completely out-tempo the S1s of Fumir. We were just talking about maybe Fumir feeling somewhat lacking in that S1, and we're seeing that play out in full effect here.
Absolutely. I don't know if I agree on the full entertainment value. I mean, hey, guys, come on. We could be doing the same thing with DPS characters. You guys know that, right?
I know you're gonna go to sleep soon.
No, I got plenty of thoughts. Trust me, I got plenty of thoughts.
Okay. Let's hear some thoughts right here.
Well, as the proud and very, very lucky 24th subscriber to the AceTrainer E7 YouTube channel, I actually know quite a lot about the position that both of these are taking in the game.
Jesus.
You know, just putting it out there that this is kind of one of those situations where once you come back from something like that, it was close enough that you have to consider the minor adaptations to your strategies. One good way is just pocketing the people that your opponent was using so well onto your own team. Triple Lilias, as we said, is not a meme composition at this point, and once again, sets up nicely still if you want to go red, green, and blue with your Fumir.
And you know, what else I noticed is that both of these players shifted up their pre-bans a little bit. That's something we covered yesterday. Even pointing to the fact that, boy, we kind of miss target banning people and changing up pre-bans because that usually shifts the dynamic of the game quite a bit. And in this case, Briar Witch is also now out, and I don't know if she's going to be a factor here or not, but Lua is available in the game.
Yeah, I also find it interesting whitebase actually stealing the AU Fiend here because he's recognizing that Candy is less strong of a unit. Because although it checks AU Fiend, and ML Chem might even check AU Fiend too, it's not that strong into Rimuru, who, depending on the build, and I actually forgot how it was built previously, if it was a crit build or not, it can do some fixed damage, completely chip down the ML Chem without critting it, completely chip down the Candy without critting it, right?
Absolutely agree. And as we say, you know, run from it, hide. It all comes back to the big P. And there she is. Oh my goodness. Is this the first time we're seeing the big P in the tournament?
It might be the second time. I've seen some big Ps in my days, but not yesterday.
Say nothing else. I'm just grumbling for the rest of this stream.
Divine left absolutely speechless from the synergy of whitebase's draft here. We do see Lulucar with the defense buff synergizing completely with the Pillis, who now does not require as much ramp up to activate her big P powers.
Her big P powers. That is absolutely correct. And I mean, I think to some end, both of these players are trying to play around the Fumir. The Rimuru, very good synergy with Fumir. Fired Lilias as well. So there is going to be a lot of... Ooh, wait a minute.
We're never seeing Knockwall being on.
Ooh, even though Adamantoise drafted a Lulucar answer, he opts to post-ban the Lulucar and have that Solitaria just to somewhat check the Pillis, somewhat check the AU Fiend, but sometimes that could be counterintuitive because it could feed AU Fiend stacks depending on how the turns will go.
Yeah, I think it's very important in this matchup. You got to be decisive, and you have to, you know, make the kill on the AU Fiend whenever it counts. I think as long as he has Aiden, he's probably in a safe spot. But the big P coming here, though, is going to present a lot of power of hit chance up, going to be able to provoke the Aiden. But, you know, we do have that vigor, so Aiden might see a bit better longevity coming into this fight.
Yes, and I'm also curious if Adamantoise just proc Music Box on Aiden, or if that was like a build diff, because I'm seeing Aiden.
He proc Music Box, I was checking.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that is very good for Adamantoise win condition here, because Pillis is actually going before the Aiden, but Pillis might not be able to actually provoke this Aiden and do what whitebase wants to secure that win condition of AU Fiend.
But I'll tell you what, though, there is one really important interaction that I'm going to keep teasing, but wait for the timer to run out on before I call it out. Whitebase, taking his time to decide, doesn't rip the S3 into the Aiden, which I think is a bit of a miss here because it reduces buff duration before landing the attack, giving, you know, this Pillis a chance to fight the Aiden, although it would have pushed up the Aiden. I don't know if that's something he would have wanted, but that was definitely a play that was up on the table.
I see. So it was a pros versus cons decision of whether or not this AU Fiend could survive another turn with that Holy Sack proc, potentially, with Aiden pushed up, right?
Hey Lord, that's the Hammer of Dawn. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I was wondering, because, you know, the Abyssal AU Fiend is the big problem target that we're thinking about dealing with, and I was wondering how much damage this Aiden was packing. Plenty enough, but we do hit her there, put the attack down on her as well, sealing her capability to finally be rid of this target after she gets the Holy Sack proc.
Stack of will. Now Pillis is stacked up to 3, which means one more attack against this Pillis, and she's going to be able to pop off. Solitaria goes for the S3 here, and we are going to run this on the Fumir just to delay her turns. I mean, a lot of time bomb type units coming in here. There is the Fumir, who is going to be getting denied her turn, but Pillis now, with the cleanse coming in, hits the Aiden. Oof, lots of damage,
crits.
but Fumir's still stunned.
Now, it's interesting if they opt to... Okay, they do end up ripping that cleanse, feeding AU Fiend, giving it the defense buff, but it's Aiden's turn. It's a gear check of whether or not they can kill this, and it does die.
I mean, that's gear score if I've seen anything. You've seen this chick. She has 12k HP, and on top of all of that, manages with only, I think, the Vigor buff, taps the Yuffie through the defense buff, basically securing her team that safety. But Fumir is coming back on the lap around. Rimuru is ripping the S3, goes on the fire Lilias, 3 defense breaks, and chunks her by half.
Now, what's important to note here is Pillis ripped the cleanse already, so now whatever damage Solitaria does in terms of debuffs will be permanently sticking to whitebase for this rotation. Actually gets the 2 stuns. Rimuru's the only unit moving for whitebase for the next rotation, and it's looking like Adamantoise might be able to clean up real quick here with the soul burn and the perfect drag.
Good drag there. I mean, you could tell whitebase was trying to set it up. Oh my god, back-to-back good drags. Whitebase game plan is falling apart. You could tell what he was going for. He was trying to set it up with the Fumir so that Fumir, you know, defense break into the Rimuru, but could not land it. And now everything is going all sideways. Solitaria peppering down debuffs. Stuns again!
More stuns?
No.
Why would you do this to the poor man? Why do you have to do this? He's not even gonna get a chance to play! Oh, look, what's worse than a stun? I mean, just being dead is probably...
Dude! This Aiden is guaranteed on the drag. This is like 5 of 5. 6 for 6!
You need to stop!
Oh my god!
I told you, you're caster cursing the hell out of this guy. I keep telling you guys that we need to remain impartial, but if you don't shut your mouth, stuns and perfect dual attacks are what is guaranteed.
Look, I'm not jinxing anything, okay? I'm only making a comment after the play happens, and it's been 6 for 6, okay?
Oh no.
Oh my god, we didn't even... I was about to say, he didn't even want to see the 7 for 7.
No.
He didn't want to see the 7 for 7.
Yo, no cap, if I was whitebase, you know what I do? I stay in that game and let Adamantoise use up his luck.
Doesn't excuse the RNG luck sack that much, but still.
I mean, luck sack being what it is, we are going to have to see if Adamantoise can recreate what he did last game, because that's what he wants to do. Coming into the 3rd game, we're going to see which one of these players move on to the next round and which one goes home.
The pre-bans are going to remain how they were last game. Both players saying, now we will both try to adapt to what the other player was doing. We sort of saw whitebase switch sides in terms of being that like anchoring AU Fiend player. And I wonder what he will try to do this time. Maybe draft more cleanse, because that was the angle that Adamantoise ends up punishing, trying to capitalize on the fact that Lulucar was the only cleanser that they post-banned out.
And I mean, look, whitebase really wanted that first pick, and I think both of these players now, after their initial starters, now they're fighting over that Conqueror Lilias. Oh, and there it is. Both of these guys changed up their pre-bans for the, you know, in the match, just trying to adapt around their opponent, and there it is. There's the Lua coming in. I mean, Adamantoise even knew that he has a Fire Lilias, so not an easy spot-on solution for whitebase here. Going to pick up the Lua as well as the Navy Captain Landy. Whitebase going for the Yuffie as for one more time, but I don't know if this is like a pick you want to take into Navy Captain Landy.
Yeah, I would argue it's 50-50 matchup in terms of whether or not Candy procs the salvo when AU Fiend rips that S3, but I will argue also that if Fire Lilias is able to dish out enough chip damage onto the AU Fiend before, you know, she gets her full focus, then this AU Fiend, no matter what RNG right side gets, will probably die to Landy stabilizing.
Stabilize? Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, very important distinction here, too. Ooh, Hand Guy as well as ML Ken comes in. Hand Guy, you always want to see whenever there is a Pillis, just because immunity stops her so hard. And Navy, I mean, Ken is just a strong unit right now, being able to stop Abyssal Yuffie so reliably, but I still think that Pillis is a bit of a threat.
Yeah, I would argue that I'm favoring left side's draft slightly more, just because they have 2 ways of gaining back tempo. You have the Hand Guy for standard tempo versus Pillis, and C Lilias stabilizing from C Lilias, but you also have the Lua potentially resetting everyone and then killing this C Lilias before she can get back to her second turn.
And what do we come back to? Valk's favorite unit in the game currently, a Sharoon, finishing off the draft, making sure that we can quickly get into the meat of this game, the meat and potatoes, and finish off it with a little bit of that aggro style that's so instrumental to Veritas. I'd say he's ripping off their style a little bit, which makes sense for a Rimuru player. Ooh, that is... That's everybody's cooldowns, buddy.
Yeah, that is a full reset. We do miss one on the Beguile, but I mean, at this point, this is all you can ask for. Speed buffs all around, and oh boy, the damage looking like it's severe.
I'd say the only thing that's beguiling is how you come back from this kind of position, especially when it's followed up by the Red Lilias, who, as you said before, has been very dominant in this position, already stole half the HP. We hit through, get the target, get the defense break. I'd say hold the brakes, because this Rimuru is on his last stop. He's got to get everything he can done right here, because I fear he won't be alive for much longer.
I mean, that's the best thing you can do in this case. Rimuru steals the anti-crit buff, potentially giving whitebase a way out of this match. Landy's already going crazy. Alberus is coming in. Abyssal Yuffie still has 0 stacks, so playing very methodically here. I mean, I think Adamantoise kind of went for that all-in big YOLO play on the first match of the set, and now he's going a lot safer. Crits as well. No salvo proc. Yuffie's 40% of the way.
Anti-crit come through. It does come through, saves the life with the no follow-up.
However, this defense-broken Rimuru is on the last crutch of himself and actually dies from that S2 of Hangai. Hangai S2 always proving to, you know, be enough to finish out a lot of targets sometimes.
Lua, though, puts the Yuffie to sleep. Now he's being a lot more methodical, taking his time. Fishes for the defense break on the Sharoon, doesn't manage to land the hit there. And the Sharoon is going to need to press her S3. I mean, you need to get all the tempo back you can, and this is the best way, although you are staring down that red Lilias. Ooh, barrier up on the Yuffie too. I wonder if this Lilias actually breaks the barrier. If it does, she doesn't break the barrier and the Yuffie stays. Ooh, wow! Never mind, doesn't rip the S3. He is going to play this slow.
Yes, but I wonder what Pillis will cleanse here on its S3, because potentially provoking the Candy is huge, and also maybe even stabilizing this AU Fiend here.
Damn, I know my fucking politically correct streamer who refers to his partner did not just call Pillis an it. That's kind of crazy.
Is all of what it's about, and if you want to see more of that kind of content, we've got a link right now up there pinned in the chat to head to some of the greatest E7 content you can see on the channel. And speaking of great content, I think we've got something charged up right here. Yes, that's right. Meteor Kayron is prominently predisposed to save the day, pushing up his allies and inching ever closer with the Red Lilias, who might just be cleansing away all these nasty debuffs, even that provoke that you just saw land there a second ago.
That provoke is going to signal this fire Lilias. Ooh, wait a minute. Whoa, Burns? That's how he's going to make the play. Burns salvo, and now he doesn't care. He can just rip S3 and he gets the guaranteed kill. Wait, that is such a good way to take risk when you have Navy Captain Landy.
Wow, we do see the Holy Stack come out. It actually didn't push back the AU Fiend with that S3. Maybe potentially resisted there, or just off natural speed, and now AU Fiend still might be able to trauma, but maybe not anymore, because Candy is locked and loaded, ready to go. The difference in CR is so minuscule, but I know AU Fiend reduces CR push, so it's a matter of whether or not this actually pushes, and it does.
And with one last hand job, we're able to push up our Navy Captain Landy to the front of the CR bar. The ship comes on through, and ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna blow port side away. The stun is not too fun for Abyssal Yuffie. She's down on the count, 1, 2, 3, and it's up to Pillis to finish the job, but one more counter, and that's all that Landy wrote out. Holding up against these two, I fear she might not be able to hold on for long, and that's true. She goes down, and the win goes to Adamantoise. Turtle boys rejoice. Give it up for your lad. He won, and he stuck through it, through the thick of his skin, and through
And
Fuck, let's make
that's
a
the
turtle
power
pun.
of the pillars.
God, I
She
messed
stuck
up the
it out there
turtle pun.
all the way till the end. I'm like, that's a unit that's not only she's a tank, but also she brings out so much damage, holds it down towards the very end. Okay, that was bad. That was bad. We're going on. We're moving on. Holy moly! I'm so sorry. 对不起兄弟. Ay ya. How did we get here?
Okay,
Goodness.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, 错了吧?
Well, remember, ladies and gentlemen, you came to an amazing stream. Not only do you get to see EatonDeez, which is one of my favorite players, come up against one of our highlighted targets from earlier, liliasDog, but you got to see a rare instance where I'm not the one being racist on stream. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Leave it up to Valken AceTrainer to completely cover the bases on racism, sexism, and any other phobias that you might have and hatred towards marginalized and groups in the world of E7. And speaking about marginalized groups in E7, you've got nobody. I'm gonna be real. I was looking up, but I got nothing I could connect. These are like what a 1% Lilias up there on the top left.
Yeah.
1% Lua. I'm saying 1% is she makes it into 1% of matches because she's pre-banned every other time.
I will say we are getting some 99% representation because we have the man of the people.
The furries, yes,
yes.
As you know, you can actually go to AceTrainer's YouTube channel right now because he knows that Fat Cat is an amazing unit that completely counters strays. Once again, highlighting EatonDeez, showing off his proud support as subscriber number 12 out of 24 to the AceTrainer YouTube channel. That's right, you can check it out and become another proud subscriber to AceTrainer and learn about all these fun fat tips and tricks that allow us to get into the rest of this matchup. Looks like Lilias also stole a pager from Hez, going for the Shuna pick right over there, able to sleep, and maybe hopefully counter some of the random luck that comes in.
Divine, hold on. I know you didn't just say Shuna is a Hez pick when we have the highest ranked Shuna spammer in our fucking Discord call in AceTrainer right now. This guy spams so much Shuna. Oh my goodness.
I just digged at him 3 times in a row. It felt bad to do it a 4th.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, that real scary thing when you have all of these buffs, one non-contact strip is all you need. So putting up the Shuna, I wonder what kind of Shuna she's built into, right? Senya comes in as well, and I mean, Big P right now, just everybody's picking the Big P.
I will say one thing though, is Shuna is a high-risk, high-reward pick into Basiria, who I've learned from Poods himself, rest in peace, Poods, because if there is any protection set on right side's draft, then Shuna might not have the strip potential to actually fully sleep these guiding light stealth units.
I mean, that's why we also have the Lua, right? I think liliasDog sniffed it out early, got the Lua protection set. It's looking kind of rough, but we're just going to have to go right through it. S2 onto the kayron. Lands asleep, so very high effectiveness, and we aren't going to get too much out of this one. But we do put this kayron to sleep for a full rotation.
We still get the Beguile, so it's some chip damage, even though on kayron, whose HP is low, it wouldn't be too much for the team. Now, I wonder who Lilias... So they actually target the Senya, which I agree with that play. I wonder if it's enough to actually get it. Actually almost kills it. It's 25k HP!
That's so much damage coming in. I mean, if it's high HP, that's exactly what Lilias is good against. And we push up the Shuna early. S3 does come out. We sleep the Fat Cat, sleep the Senya. I mean, is that an ER Briarwitch? I think we saw from yesterday. She resisted a good amount of debuffs. So Briarwitch staying stealth might be what he needs here. I mean, EatonDeez is definitely put on the back foot. We just lost Senya for free, but our kayron is up. Our Briarwitch managed to resist everything. Does he still have this deep into the game?
Ooh. High HP on Briar. I think liliasDog wanted to proc that Briar early, but not able to with that venomous neurotoxin S1 from the dog of G Lilias here. Not able to stop the Briar from surviving another turn. 16k HP, comes out, drop the debuffs, but not enough, and Candy actually might be able to disrupt with half of her bar full.
Salvo comes through, knocks 2 characters into immortality, but kayron finally gets his turn up. I mean, Beguile on his turn. Is he fully reset as well? No, he has an S3. I mean, these are 3 targets that I think you have to go for the Lilias. Wow, you could go for the S2. No, he's going to go for the Navy Captain Landy. He's got balls, but no crit here.
No crit? Almost kills. Almost killed. And that kill would have made the difference to EatonDeez potentially swinging the game back. Now the candy is alive, and kayron is so close to dying.
Fishes for the stun on the Shuna, and after he misses that one, that's a top right. liliasDog takes up the match, series 1-0. Let's see if they change anything about the way they pre-ban. Maybe throw out a few target bans.
And so Cyanox does want to get second turn because he wants a 1-2 pick alongside the kayron starter. So we are going to see the G Lilias starter pick.
Is this an entire different, like, pre-ban group? Like, Zio, Bellion, C Lilias, as well as the AOL. It almost feels a little different, but this time, EatonDeez does pick up the Lua for himself. But, whoa, liliasDog slams the Ran. That's not something I expected.
Yeah, slamming Ran and actually having no bridge with the Monk. Just looking to fully disrupt, regardless of the ability to reset Lua or not. They are playing the 50-50 with the Monk into the Lua, potentially racing, potentially not. So it's interesting to see the turn order here, and also how risk adverse is liliasDog. Doesn't seem too risk adverse.
I mean, maybe that's why he changed it up to ban the Zio. He wants to go all in. He bans the Belly and bans the Zio, and he's just flooring the gas, and he's going to push on.
Yeah, and Cyanox selecting the T-Surin here, which would definitely disrupt the G Lilias win condition, but maybe kind of a neutral matchup in a G Lilias. But we see liliasDog responding with that Veronica into both the kayron and the T-Surin. Actually, T-Surin does not proc immortality, so forgive my yapping.
No Briar Witch this game for EatonDeez, so won't be able to get that supreme value. But T-Surin, as well as the protections at Fat Cat, I mean, T-Surin scales so well with barriers, and we know that Fat Cat is on the protection set, so surely that is going to be a disgusting combo. Maybe liliasDog wants to break it apart, but I do think his, even though with no bridge unit for this, what is, you know, mostly a cleave composition, you have a solid core DPS, you have a solid anchor, so EatonDeez needs to find the perfect force ban, and I think he might still have a game on his hands.
I would say both of these players are relatively going pretty standard, you know. Lots of rogues, lots of thieves, but, you know, we've got a very supportive and tanky, you know, not DPS-focused Navy Captain Landy on left, and a very prominently, you know, protect his teammates through self-sufficient means ML Ken on the right. So I think we're going in pretty standard. We're banning it. They both banned the same character somehow. I thought you couldn't pick the same character in this mode, but somehow they both ended up banning the same fucking character.
And the interesting interaction, oh wow, it's Secret Art Storm Sword on the T-Surin, so potentially she might be stealing out a turn here after Veronica goes, and I wonder, because Veronica needs to crit to get that extra turn, she actually might be proccing the T-Surin depending on the choice of target here.
Yeah, Veronica does get to go, but it is a little bit awkward. Not going to, ooh, okay, Veronica does go on the kayron. We are gonna fish, and oh, no strip.
Unfortunate. We'll have to settle ourselves up with some more damage, but the question is, who's the target? Does land on the T-Surin, does get us another ass whooping from ML Kendrick. Sets her up with the stealth S3.
Overtime here, and then T-Surin just immediately cutting and going. I know G Lilias will not die, but actually Ran is dead. Didn't crit Candy, but it's looking like liliasDog is fighting from the back foot against a fully ready and loaded kayron.
Ooh, wait. Was she supposed to do? Was that just part of the Veronica passive? Evasion comes out, no immortality. Lilias just takes her out, and oh, still rough on liliasDog part. He needs to break through with just the lone Lilias. I mean, Landy is a good anchor, but how much can she do with the defense break? That's not a good look.
No, it is not. Even with non-crits, I argue that ML Ken is just gonna slowly chip that Candy, regardless of salvos, regardless of whatever healing happens. This A card with Warhorn is somewhat stabilizing the ML Ken here.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I for one don't actually know how this matchup plays out. I think there's a lot of potential for liliasDog, but goes for the soul burn on the Ken, but big miss. Oh, Ken's gonna fight back now. S3 surely gonna do a lot of damage on this Navy Captain Landy, takes her right out. Green Lily is now stuck in a bind.
Well, I wouldn't actually say too much of a bind. I believe one good shot in it might be over here. No, we just don't have that kind of damage. Sorry, I'm too used to the nuclear variant, so we've got to hold on for a little bit longer.
And I wonder if the nuclear variant would have paid off more, because it seems like the ER is still not enough to resist the A-cart provokes. Or is it? Is it some 50-50 provokes?
I want to say this is a ER Lilias, right? The way he plays, just the way it generally goes, but it's looking worse and worse on the side of liliasDog. He needs to make a big play here, but I don't think he ever has enough damage to fully take out the ML Ken. And I don't think he
doesn't have the damage, and he needs access to enough healing to survive. Yeah, can't mitigate between both. I just don't think the furries have it. As much as, you know, I'm not a big fan of furries. I'm not a big fan of furry stuff, but like, you know, I'm not gonna knock the position of the guys who like Fat Cat and units like that, but I don't know if it's enough to bring them back into this kind of match. Valk disappeared, just like my father, and so we get back into the game with the action keeping hot. We see those pre-bans targeted at making our selections a little bit easier as we go into the standard first picks. But what is going to be the first draft? And it's back to the Lua once again out of liliasDog.
Yeah, are we going to see a case where Lua just becomes the victor in any of her matchups? We shall see.
I have to see, but I think another interesting thing is to consider as we get further and further to the tournament. You know, there's of course the natural counters that develop between characters. Who's going forward? We've already seen quite a couple fire, but I don't think there's too many people advancing into the finals with a green DPS unit, so that's going to mix things up a little bit. Regardless, we go into picking Lua a second time. Once again, confused on this glitch happening on the screen, allowing her to be picked twice. Yeah.
If you like rapidly click with your mouse, select, it sometimes like doesn't register as a server lag input, and so it allows you to pick the same character twice. But we are seeing that, and now we have two Luas debuffing right side, who has no cleanses, very selfish DPSs that could hold out on their own for one rotation, maybe with the right supports, but we're definitely needing to see EatonDeez respond to the glitch double tap that liliasDog has just done in their draft.
Yeah, very interesting technique with the glitch double tap, followed up, of course, by the selection on Cookout Kawazu. Gucci slides coming out to possibly put down a lot of these high target DPS, and the response is actually Yulha. Interesting.
Yeah, and I would argue, I mean, this might be a 4 DPS draft because, okay, even if Yulha doesn't get banned out, we can consider her somewhat of a selfish unit, and into that double tap glitch reset, up, down, down, AB cheat code draft, I do not know if Yulha can be the bastion that holds out and supports the Candy or Basaria enough.
I mean, here's the thing, right? The Yulha is such a risky unit for the Green Lilias to fight. On one hand, yes, I mean, Green Lilias does one-shot tanks, but if this is a slightly higher quality Yulha, you know, with like 32k HP, if the Green Lilias doesn't manage to one-shot her, she's completely gone. That Thorns will absolutely just pee-pee poof her on that return damage.
Pee-pee poof. You guys love saying pee-pee. Especially today. Scaring the hell out of me. But there's nothing scarier than seeing what the bans come out as. Once again, as I've said like 8 times by now, we're never going to get to see this Knockwall unit. That also means we're saying goodbye to the thorny flower maiden herself. Briar Witch not going to be making it to the game.
Yeah, it seems a little surprised she was the one that got banned. Spectre Tenebria, kind of an issue for this draft, but Pyro Captain Flan being here might be the difference maker that liliasDog needs. Although going into this, I mean, barrier set going into the Lua, that's a rough one.
Yeah, and this is all about tech. I think versus Lua, a lot of the times it's about whether you have immunity on your units, whether you have protection set, and they slammed that Yulha just in preparation for this Lua matchup. So,
did we actually take anything in terms of turns there? Trying to check. Yeah, I thought I saw some immunities coming out, and as you said, the Yulha survives, and that's gonna be dangerous. And we almost didn't survive on our own.
I mean, that was a lot of pain. I mean, at the very least, the green Lilias hangs on for dear life, pushes up the Pirate Captain Flan, Ahoy comes through, procs the landy, no salvo, so it's going to be a little bit awkward for the Navy Captain. Kawazu takes his turn, no vigor buff. He needs to decide whether he wants to press or not, and I think, you know, versus
press.
Yep, he needs to go now. I mean, Stenny Kayron, that's a lot of pressure on board, and on top of that, the Yulha... Ooh, lands the 2-stack. No kills, though, is going to be 2 souls for this Navy Captain Landy to burn.
Yeah, this seems like a very bad position. A lot of people are set up here for optimal DPS. The Landy's going to be healing herself, but we only got the reset, actually, on the Spectre Tenebra in the back, so she'll be able to hit 2 units. And the Yulha's in a prime position for damage. Oh, I don't like how this looks one bit.
Yeah, it's not looking good for liliasDog. You were saying, Ace?
It's like Stene being reset is actually better because she's about to output maximum damage potential before being stunned on her subsequent rotation. And we are seeing Candy match up into the P-Flan after Kawazu's already loaded out his damage, and so it's only up to the P-Flan to close out the game. But guess what? Candy cannot be stunned, so I wonder if P-Flan even has that potential to 1v1 this Candy right here.
Oh, and we do see that Yulha S3 comes out, blows up the Kawazu right here, and Stenny almost one-taps the Pirate Captain Flan. Kayron's got no buffs, no cooldowns, but I don't think he needs any of that when liliasDog is on his last legs. GG comes out, EatonDeez will move on to the next round. Let's send it, see who gets first and second pick in today's first matchup between Light and XLR. Man, you really like that emote, don't you, Divine?
Oh, I actually can't see the emote. People just keep typing on, but I just fucking. I'm because when I open up, I open up on Firefox. I should switch over to.
I will say though, coming out into the opening break, this looks like a pretty tough break for the Laika player. Usually when you're playing Laika Cleave, there are a few picks that kind of put a hard stop to how well she works, right? Politis was one, Rimuru's another, and in this case right here, having a Rimuru enemy first picked against your Laika Cleave, you're going to need some tech to be able to go through your opponent like that.
But I think fearing this other starter Pokemon is like a 6-year-old rookie mistake. Because if you think about it, right? Remember when you select your starter Pokemon and then Gary selects the opposite element starter Pokemon, and you're like, if you were a little kid, you're panicking. But then, you know, as you grow up, you're like, oh, wait, you know, we can just both scratch and mine will probably high roll and, you know, win the matchup. So it's definitely possible for XLR9 to just punch through this Rimuru here.
Okay, so you think that's what it's going to take for him? Bunny Dom comes out as a way to fight back against the Conqueror Lilias. I mean, it almost seems like Light has the better units, especially in the first two, breaking it down. But Spectre Tenebria picked up. There is no Abyssal Euphine. There is no Navy Captain Landy. So Stenny, not the worst pick here, but there is still Bellion up on board for Light should he want to go that route.
Yeah, and I would caution against Bellion for these sort of matchups because Laika, green Laika, just has that potential to bring targets out through that dual attack, potentially boosting their CR depending on the S1s. And so maybe Stenning in this case might even be able to fight through the Bellion.
And there it is, right? Politis comes out for Light. We highlighted earlier, that is going to be one of the hardest stoppers to any form of Laika Cleave. I mean, I would say the Laika aggressive action at this point is all but diffused. But can Light put together a consistent enough team composition for all his other units? I would say that is the key for him to win.
Yes, and actually drafts the Aiden into the stealthed Stene. So what I think is interesting is potentially, you know, if we kill the Politis in time, it's like a DPS race. Laika could be looking to still use that S2 and snipe out this Aiden.
Briar Witch's Seria comes out. Yeah, go for it.
I was going to say, murder is easy when there's nothing standing in the way, and without mitigative elements to protect the Spectre Tenebria, she might be in the back, but she might not be there at all for too long. Speaking of wilting flowers in that kind of sense, yes, you're going to hear me do this lovingly, because we are talking about Briar Witch's Seria, everyone's favorite character, am I right, boys?
Yeah,
Am I right?
love
Enabling
me some Briar Witch. Woo!
Yeah, enables a whole lot of nonsense, and in this particular draft, it might be that kind of nonsense combined with our high carry DPS that leads us to the win. XLR's connection remains unsteady, but his conviction does not waver as he calls to his side the most powerful unit he could imagine, a 10-year-old child.
I mean, at this point, he really just needs to establish first turn control. He wants to drop it on the Lilias. He wants to make sure no matter what, he's going first. Designer Lilibet comes out, although I suspect there might be some handshaking towards the end where they just take out each other's last picks. I think when it comes to really good players, their last picks are a little too good. They disassemble the opponent's composition a little too well sometimes. So you're either going with that or you're going for a higher risk play where you're trying to ban something higher up in the draft.
Much better strategy than always just last picks General Purgus because, hey, I mean, it's funny, right?
I would actually argue that there is some anti-synergy in Light's draft. Actually doesn't respect the Dilibet because XLR9, I think, realizes what I was thinking, where if you're fighting the Laika comfortably, you might be drafting immunity, right? Which means Dilibet has less value. Only after the Basaria turn, if Basaria actually presses S3, does Dilibet actually get the full value of her kits.
Yeah, we'll have to see this fight break down. I mean, Light is lacking his big bridge unit, whereas XLR lacks his big anchor in the back. And I mean, even for this type of composition, I would even say Stenny might not be your best anchor just because you're not very tanky. So going more aggressively into Light like this might be what XLR needs. He is going to take the first turn. Laika does outspeed the Conqueror Lilias by a pretty considerable margin, but Rimuru with the immunity set is looking like he's hovering right about 240, 250-ish speed, and he's looking to make some sneaky plays.
And what's interesting is actually this Laika is not on Guiding Light. This Laika is not going to proc Rimuru. It's actually going to have another unit proc Rimuru. Oh, goes for the drag, doesn't get the target debuff on the Aiden, so now this Aiden lives through the Briar damage, and Rimuru might be able to stabilize, especially with Briar not Guiding Lighting.
Yeah, Briar not hitting Guiding Light is huge here. Damage is... Whoa, not zapping it on her. He's going into the Beatom instead. Lands 2 defense break. Beatom survives with a 1
HP. With 1 HP, you could take out a rag and swipe that off your screen. That's how low it is. I can't even see it. I feel blind in one eye. We're going to have to finish her off.
Oh, and it drags that Aiden as well. I mean, that's what you hate to see. Aiden now being able to sustain back up a little bit. Briar, which has to hit in order for XLR to come back from this game. S1 comes through, does hit, and finally goes back into the guiding.
Yeah, that guiding is going to be huge for that Berseria survivability and win condition, because now they can expertly play out of the Dilibet win condition, not proc her cleanse. Now they are silenced, and not having that defense buff means the S3 doesn't come out.
But that's the issue, though. Conqueror Lilias does take her second turn, is going to be able to walk Vigor buff for all 3 of her teammates, and attack down, all that, the whole package for XLR that he has to now grind through.
Yeah, we were able to keep our stealth buff, but, you know, there's nothing that'll quite reveal you like all your allies that you are hiding behind being freaking dead, by the way. Soulbird comes out to guarantee that we get the defense breaks that we need, but we don't just need defense breaks, we need dead people. And unfortunately, we don't kill anyone on that. An impossible position to pull back from. XLR9 recognizes it, and the win goes to Light.
Going into the second match of this set, this is probably the most highly anticipated match of the tournament. 2 Titans clashing against each other. Light is up 1-0, and now XLR gets second pick, which in this format is the same power level as first pick on ladder.
Maybe even a little bit more, because, you know, normally in first pick, you're picking it and then there's a lot more of the match coming out afterwards. But this is first pick with the additional knowledge of what your opponent has to first pick, right? Which definitely changes things up a little bit if you were to have the advantage of knowing what your opponent's going to put out. Okay, Bree-bands come out once again through. Interesting, I'd like to say, on XLR side again, putting out the Navy Captain and the Abyssal Euphine, not wanting to see too many Knights that might put a damper on his speed.
And
His second
that's something that we kind of were expecting for him to change up, right? You need to change up your pre-bans to adapt to your opponent. But now, he is still going into this, and green Laika comes through. Now he needs another pick that maybe deals with the Rimuru better.
The second pick is really going to decide it all. XLR9 taking his time to really think about the synergies or how he wants to continue this aggro, because we were talking about how this Laika starter really lends herself into that all-in strategy.
And this Rimuru actually highlights something I thought about pre-tournament, and I want to discuss with you guys, actually. I really did believe before the tournament was set up that units that in some way ignored the disadvantages or went past the disadvantages of type disadvantage would have a strong place in that in this tournament. I think Light's showing that off pretty well right now as his kind of successful strategy. What do you think is the successful part of the command model Laika strategy, and what do you think XLR9 has to do to leverage that in this match?
Oh, that is really, really tough. I think XLR needs a good draft around Politis and all in on the fact that green Laika lets you play an amazing style of cleave, and you really have to all into that. When you first pick this unit, you have to all in your composition, all in your account, all in your speed tuning to play to that. And I mean, look at what Light's units have, right? These are 3 units that not only rely on combat readiness push, but also non-attacking skills. And the Politis does come out. We are seeing XLR make a fight for his life. He's going to all in on his playstyle, and he needs another enabler. Fire Politis is going to be out here with, ooh, is that going to be an aggressive? No aggressive LRK comes out here. Maybe he even goes a little bit more passive with the Politis. This is a full swing.
And wow, this is really interesting. So it might be even a high HP Politis, and this era, while completely anchoring out the standing win condition, they still have last pick, who might be banned based on XLR9's drafting abilities. So we will definitely see a game that's interesting in terms of trying to take some tempo and then slowing down the brakes, taking some tempo back, slowing down the brakes with Politis.
Lionheart Sirmia here, I think very proficient pick. Going to be able to check the green Laika, going to be able to check the Politis, and he just needs something here last pick to once again threaten the Spectator. That is the name of the game. I mean, you're going to expect another carry to come out for XLR here in that last pick. So 2 things to threaten the Spectator. Ban last is Light's most secure way of taking this match home 2-0.
While that is true, I'm thinking about what would actually threaten Stenning in this case. Aiden is definitely not going to be something that would be able to close out that Stenning matchup if the team is sufficiently bulky. And I know that XLR9, Laika not being in Guiding Light, actually makes it so that it could be an anchor supporting the Stenning win condition. So it's actually so surprising that they selected Aiden last year. We definitely need to see what XLR9 does in response. I think some ideal picks. I have some in the back of my mind, but I don't want to say it until the picks are locked in.
I think here's the thing. I think the Aiden was good in like, for example, last game where the Spectre Tenebris. Whoa, is that a Fire Kayron?
Yes.
That's a Fire Kayron.
Now I wonder if that is a Lunel Kayron build, because I think that might be enough to close out against all these DPSs.
Hi, honey.
Might just be it. I mean, Fire Kayron comes out at this point. You're not expecting him to be able to play into the cleave, so this is going to be a pure damage Kayron. He's out here, drop a big S3, take out 1 target, drop another. Spectre Tenebria does get taken out alongside the Conqueror Lilias, so it will be the beat on plus triple carries up into this Kayron. Going to be a really interesting match. We don't know what the speed tuning is, so we'll have to see.
This is definitely very build dependent, and if Politis is not a high HP build, I imagine this to be an Era Wall plus Kayron versus the world scenario.
But regardless of the scenario, we've got to get into the match. It's just started here, obviously with the command model Laika starting off her team with a little bit of that initiative, and the choice is clear. What do we have to do to put ourselves in a winning position? Just a simple S1, holding out for now, testing the waters as we let the B-Dom go, and maybe show us how this match is going to play out.
And I think Laika is one of those characters that it's also so build dependent when you're thinking about her role in a tournament setting like this, because they actually built it non-guiding light but also no immunity, so Rimuru was not able to actually cut in this case.
B-Dom is going to be able to press all her buttons, lets the Politis get triggered. Now Lionheart Sirmia is in it. XLR has no souls, and very tanky Politis. So if this Politis is on an Abyssal Crown or a Ayla Violin, might be doing a lot of damage here. So this Lionheart needs to be able to resist, especially with that resistance up buff.
The numbers come down. It's an unbuffable and a blind. That might be enough. We're gonna have to hope. And unfortunately, I said hope, which means Savior Auden is now on the scene. Just a small stab.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that all these units are unbuffable, so Aiden was not able to protect the entire team here, especially the Bunny Dom onto her next rotation.
Ooh, we do get the hit. We do get the defense breaks. And now we set up into another unit who is blind, but that might not matter. Cosmetic indeed, the numbers are clean!
4 orange numbers. Oh my goodness, blind for 2
like
turns,
that.
she lands every single hit. Kayron is kind of on the ropes now. He needs to be able to solo carry this game. He needs to extend his buff timers with the easy kill. Goes on the Rimuru first. Is this enough?
Is it enough? It is!
That
It's a full damage Lunel build Kayron. It is ready to counterattack and clean out this game.
And now we've got...
Soulburn on the beat on, that's going to be a miss. Aiden comes through, tickles him. That is a miss as well. I mean, Kayron just sitting pretty now. He just needs one big swipe.
We keep hoping for it, but we're just not getting the same kind of luck that we saw on right side. We're back to the Kayron turn, and unfortunately, yes, we do indeed need to pray. Swipe away. Oh, but the counterattack still comes through. That's the end of the immortality. Unfortunately, it's also the end of Kayron's dream. Even putting down the hammer, Light saying you don't even get a millisecond of a chance to come back from this. Ooh, going through the animation, almost as if teaching him a lesson. Light secures the victory.
We are now officially in our top 4 for the tournament. Everybody here is in the money, so now we are only placing for placements and a bigger slice of the prize pool. We got Alito and Cyanox in the top bracket, Arcane Trufan and Light in the bottom bracket, and we're just going to be going into it. Now, games are going to be best of 5s. So that being said, let's jump right into it. I want to see how this man drafts.
Very much looking forward to the pre-bans. Now, from each person's playstyle, I know that they both play somewhat standard. I mean, I talked to Alito a lot when there was a brief time where he was an ex-guildie of mine.
Okay, well, he's going for a rather aggressive set of pre-bans. Angel of Light banned out alongside Conqueror Lilias, but the things like the Lua will be available. I mean, we saw EatonDeez play very well into the Lua. So
we always see EatonDeez play very well. He's adaptable. He's in the fold. As you keep saying, he's in the money, and he's going up against an without any type disadvantage, which means his hard carry in the Kayron gets to pop off more than ever before. With the primary threat, I think, already being revealed in that Lua there, might be able to shut him down, but maybe not the Thorny Witch herself.
I mean, Briar Witch comes through, and we saw earlier that is a protection set Briar Witch, so going to be very good. You have the extra barrier providing a buff against the Lua. Lua only being able to strip one of those buffs, so very debilitating. But we also have a green Laika drafted here. I wonder what that's about. What do you think about it, Ace?
I think it's to take advantage of the fact that Lua only strips 1 on her S3, and with Guiding Light units having immunity, they're not stripped. And as this is a tech that a lot of higher end players end up adapting later on in seasons, where they want to uncage Lua, they want to play Lua, and when they're fighting Lua, they go for more of that high risk build differential to close out the game.
Yeah, I see the Shuna here as well, looking to just layer on the buff strips, and I think buff's the name of the game here for both of these guys, looking to buff up while, you know, toning down their opponent's amount of buffs. Hovering another hero here for Yoonryoung. He's trying to fish for what he can. Also hovering, going over the Solitaria, I think could be really strong if you're trying to play buffs. I mean, S2 comes out every time. 70% chance to just strip and then takes to the extra damage. So EatonDeez needs to be able to fight versus 3 very tough buff strippers.
Yes. With that said, though, it's very much high risk, high reward for Yoonryoung here, just because they have one cleanse, and depending on the speed tuning of that Berseria into kayron shenanigans, it might very much be possible that Solitaria is completely shut down of her gamer girl's follow-up, and actually kayron cleaning up just units that are death broken, unbuffable.
It's hard to be killed or debuffed if you just stun the entire team. And we've already seen a deluge of those debuffs come raining down from the princess herself. So I don't think it's too far out of reach. What I think is perfectly within reach, however, is Lionheart Symia and her blade. I think we already saw plenty of demonstrations earlier of the cleave coming out and decimating the entire team early on. I'm afraid without much mitigation, we could also see a replay of that exact situation right here.
That's a really clever pick here. We got a Lionheart Symia. I mean, that's a very normal unit looking to check the Solitaria, but the Rem, we only got one hard DPS in the milim on Yoonryoung's side, and I think Cyanox EatonDeez is just looking to ban out that last pick. Rem is so strong in this scenario. I mean, Yoonryoung cycling through his heroes, he could probably take any of those and they would just get banned out. Lethe is looking like his primary option right now, and she does get locked in. I think we might just see some type of handshake.
Yes, I think so too. I think this tournament is all about information, and because we know it's a protection set Briar Witch, we're not going to play the high risk angle of slamming F10A on the last there, which might be able to close out games normally, but into EatonDeez, they might definitely be build differenced if they end up going that route.
And we do have a handshake on the last unit. Both Water Warriors out for both teams, so a very clean top 4 draft, and that's how you know we really are at the pinnacle for the tournament now. Going into the first game, let's see this.
Those Water Warriors have to go out because we are dancing with those fire DPSs, which I think makes this match a countdown on who's able to enable their hyper carries even more. The support and the follow-ups, the synergies are going to be the key towards getting the win in this game right here.
We're going to fish for the S2. Oh, onto the Laika, does land the hit, and we're going to go for the strip. S3 on the Lua coming out now.
The Mercedes had EatonDeez acknowledging that he had a chance there, but unfortunately the turn is stolen from the Laika. Going to be a little bit hard for her to play with such valuable cooldowns lost.
Only the Laika knocked out, but Solitaria going to take a turn here. Speed buff, really significant. Ooh, wait.
Ooh.
kayron actually resists the stun and pops back with a counterattack. That's the type of thing you want to see. That's how you know you can potentially get back into your game.
Yes, I think it's a fair equivalent exchange, because we did see that Laika turn get stolen just because of the initial strip, because following up, Lua would have only stripped 1, and now we're seeing Yoonryoung trying to fight back, actually gets a procking the Stormy. This is going to be huge. One of the most
this is going to be dangerous.
Ooh.
I don't even know what you want to do in this position. You have the threat there, it's clear, but do you have enough to put it down? I'd wager no, but you might still even have to go for it. We're holding down on the clock.
1 second left. We're going to switch targets over to the Laika. Does drop her with the full combo, but that
brace for it.
Not what you want to see.
Grit those teeth! The swing is wide and clear. Oh, but it doesn't quite shut down anyone on the team. The follow-up attack, however, will put the milim out of commission. The other two are sleeping on the job, but it's already clear. That's exactly what we needed to win, and so the win does head over to EatonDeez.
Orange number, that's really tough for Yoonryoung as well. I mean, we saw that the Shuna, very high effectiveness. We know that Briar Witch is on at least some form of resistance, so having given that information away without a win to show for it, real tough. Well, going into it, let's see what adaptations these players make. Let's head into game 2 of the semifinals.
Now, will they pre-ban differently? In a best of 5, target banning feels like the name of the game. Are these players able to adapt to their opponent's win conditions?
And no, they're going to keep it consistent. I mean, Landy, Bellion, as well as see Lilias and AOL taken out. There are going to be a lot of ways to check some of these anti-fun units, and I want to say going 1 game into the match so far, EatonDeez is definitely riding the edge. He isn't afraid of the Lua, so Yoonryoung is forced to pick it, while he can just take, you know, like we saw last game, he took the Briar Witch and it just felt like he had a leg up, and yeah, he does it again right here. This is looking reminiscent of E7 WC finals, where Pupis was stuck playing the Conqueror Lilias without a strong answer for it, taking it every game and just kind of getting blown up by the Lionheart Symia. And once again, we are seeing this, we are seeing the Shuna come out, as well as, you know, one more potential DPS here. Yoonryoung really needs to make good use of this, be able to fight the Bunny Dom as well as that Briar Witch, as we highlighted. That is such a threatening pick.
Right, and as someone who spams Shuna a lot previously in this RTA season, I would argue that the Lua Shuna feels a bit precarious, because you are investing a lot into debuffing the opponent, yes, but what about the stability? What about the mitigation? So that's something that we definitely have to consider when we play milim. So I wonder how Yoonryoung plans to diversify his win condition.
Diversity is the key. As many win cons as possible also makes it harder for your opponent to respond, and we know that response is at absolute the value of the 4 and 5 pick. You're closing in on your opponent. You're trying to find those options that both shut them down and enable and back up what you've built with your team in the 1, 2, and 3. So this is an important position for EatonDeez, but I also have absolute confidence he nails it, because he always does, as one of the strongest players we have in our tournaments.
Yes, I've been thoroughly surprised by all of his counter responses into units that try to check kayron, and he always maintains that momentum. He never lets go of his foot on the pedal while not really relying on speed. He somehow manages to pick units like Lethe and Bunny Dom, stacking buffs to be able to just fully support this kayron win condition. And also, I would argue that Yoonryoung is playing very high risk with 2 strips, but into protection set. So if one of these strips gets banned out, a Tywin might not have as much value, because he might be ripping the S3 into immunity.
I think this is a really interesting pick here. Big P comes out. Yoonryoung kind of stuck in a position where he's looking at solo DPS milim against the Lethe, against the Big P. All bad matchups, but he does have the Lua going for him. Do you think there's a chance that he just takes out the protection set, or you think the protection set is a little too overwhelming here, and the Lua not going to be able to get the value, a Tywin maybe not being able to do too much here?
Yeah, I think that is a viable strategy, taking out the protection set. But then you think about the other case where if Lua isn't the one post ban and it's the Shuna, then this Bunny Dom has infinite value into the Lua. So
regardless,
yes.
No, I was going to say, the last thing I really have to clean up here is that we see the Lethe, or the Lada, and then we see the Dark Corvus. You know, a lot of people think these characters fell out a very similar role, and both of them are going to be missing from the show as we come in to what is going to be the final draft. We're counting down to the matchup. Who looks like they're in the winning position here in your eyes, Ace?
I would say the person drinking the Pillade, because unfortunately, milim does rely a good amount on evasion and sometimes extra counterattacks based on how you play in terms of your draft. So I'm suspecting it might be a counterset milim, and I'm suspecting this Pillis is going to have infinite value here.
Lua is going to run the S3, not a whole lot of value coming through, followed up by the Bunny Dom, and followed up by the Shuna. That's got to be high effectiveness. Sleeves everything, but misses on the Briar Witch. That is such a scary, scary move. You do not ever want to miss on that out of all characters.
That's so interesting, right? Both of the supports are put to sleep, but the DPS are standing strong with their resist.
Man, you don't know what you're getting yourself into whenever you fight against these protection set main. I'm so scared of these guys. Usually when I play against them, just play the hard tank down, play the protection game. Oh man, so rough. milim going again here, dropping the S3 right into the Bunny Dom, not getting that final kill. And speed buff on the side of Lua, so hopefully he's going to be able to get more tempo with this buff on his side.
Ooh, actually,
counterattack comes out. Yeah, the counterattack comes out, but more importantly, the defense break sticks, and that's going to be bad, bad, bad. All that damage you were talking about before from the artifact is going to take a heavy hit. But we're talking
until the Shuna. Actually, I am talking out of my butt. Divine, continue.
No, I was going to say those defense breaks were a big concern from our Briar Witch Iceria herself, but she doesn't land too much, only gets a clean off of most of those buffs. And speaking of clean, just wipe away. The barriers come through, Shuna protecting her crew as we go for the grasp on our fair lady here. Doesn't have the evasion buff anymore, so she's going to be taking the full damage, but it doesn't look like it did too much at all, if I'm going to be honest.
Now this is a gear check on Tywin. If it's effectiveness, then it might be able to close out the game alongside some assistance with Milim here. Actually procs the counterattack. That is going to be huge on Kayron securing the win condition. That full swipe actually almost takes out Milim. Now there might be a chance this Doctor's Bag just cleanses off EatonDeez team and makes their HP go back to 75%.
The sleep there.
My
The
goodness,
sleep there,
that
absolutely.
Tywin land is 0 for 0. You cannot have such a high impact hero landing like that. You need him to set up your tempo, and at this point, burning out the Shuna, we need to sustain the team a little bit. And biggest problem here, we cannot burn that Milim. Just absolutely can't afford it under any circumstance, as it would give the Bunny Dom a refresh. Oof. Big P pops off right there, and Milim just gets taken out. That is a 2-0 going over to EatonDeez.
Wow.
It was very dangerous there, but of course, Pitless being able to cleanse herself of the defense break also means she's seeing the full damage once again from that artifact, and it just puts to rest the Milim. Even though we did soul burn to get the extra single target attack from our Shuna, wasn't enough healing to beat the beatdown that came down and ended the match there.
Game 3 of the semifinals. Let's see how they play.
I think you brought it up interestingly earlier, Falcon. I think this is the key really here in this match. The Briar Witch obviously is a very important unit for both teams here, but EatonDeez has kind of crafted his Briar Witch to serve a very niche, a very specific purpose. She seems to be doing it well. When we saw the healing come out from the Shuna earlier, wasn't enough to stabilize our team, wasn't enough to bring us back into the game, and I guess that's really where I'm coming at, where it's just like, yeah, we can have the Briar Witch. He obviously picks her up very early on the match, and he doesn't choose to pre-ban her. But I also have to wonder, like, do we have the builds right to synergize with this Milim, to give her exactly what she needs in terms of offense and defense? Because I think that's the biggest key for Yoonryoung over here, is that it just hasn't worked out well yet. We keep trying to balance either support for our main DPS, enough damage to kill out, some control to make sure that we don't get run over. But I feel like getting the proper numbers for all of that, between the characters we pick and the builds they're on, just hasn't been achieved yet.
Yeah, but we do see Yoonryoung actually end up sniping out the Berseria, wanting to play that offensive, more so that responsive playstyle that he was playing into the Briar Witch. So now he doesn't need to worry about as many strips, because he is having the Guiding Light Disruptor of Briar Witch on his own side. But we see EatonDeez responding back aggressively with the A-mid pick. Now Lethe alongside another unit to close out the game, because technically this is still a DPS carry Milim draft, right? Briar Witch having some DPS, not too much. A-Card potentially having some chip damage, sure. But Lethe might just be able to drag this Milim into the abyss if Yoonryoung is not careful.
All the blue on the left side, as we said before. Obviously, when you and your opponent have picked a major red, major fire DPS as your unit, a wave, an ocean of blue is going to be coming through. And the Pillars, once again, the perfect support, something that enables us to have that tankiness, while also putting down offensive means towards the Milim. It seems to be a very dangerous pick, but the Lethe seems to get the job done as well. It's going to be an interesting, I'd say, interesting decision there to see what he bans out as he makes his final pick. Also, so much Assassin Cartuja. Did not expect to see this much Assassin Cartuja in the tournament. I feel kind of funny because, obviously we picked him for the game show, but I really didn't think he'd see that much play, but he does see the play. And another unit, obviously, it, Ace, from the game show, the Arya comes out last as well.
Yeah, the Arya coming out in lieu of Lua there, alongside Kayron, alongside Pilis. So there's some soft checking between those units into Arya, but as we know, Arya has that massive potential to be able to overcome all those things.
Right, and I just want to highlight, you know, following up that one, Divine, I think it's mostly due to the fact that a lot of people are going to be changing up their pre-bans, so units like this Lua will be out in the open, and, you know, best way to beat a Lua, protection set. And how do you get a protection set up? Usually it's on a Fat Cat, usually it's on an Eton, right? And at least for the Fat Cat here, it's going to be able to synergize with so many of these evasion fire bruisers that's just going to be able to bounce back and try to like slide past these attacks. Ooh, big combo here comes out from Eaton though. Puts up the swift attack on the Kayron, so looking to make a lot of the tempo play. Yoonryoung is going to be able to cleanse the Lua here, but well, let's check the damage. Both his characters may just reset particularly, so... Oh, Milim just goes for the S1, and I think he's going to burn the Aria for the, to put up the defensive stances.
Yes, I kind of like this play because it seems like A-Cart has the potential to start death-breaking someone, and no matter what EatonDeez does, he might be eating a hit, eating these Aria as two snakes.
I think he needs to be careful here, though, because one, yes, if you can defense break Pillars, you defense break the big P, you are going to be stopping all of her damage potential and giving yourself a great kill window on her. But here's the problem, right? She will cleanse the one of the other characters, and if you eat a counter attack, you might just get your barrier and stealth stripped.
Bro! Sorry, you always got to call it out. Big Crow coming out. Let's see how many buffs this washes away. Come on, Mouth, work on my side.
Hey, yo.
And now hey, don't put it like that, okay? Don't put it like that.
Wait a minute, Aria is going again. She gets another combo. I mean, Kayron hasn't even used his first one yet. Gets the S2 back up, holds the S3, and oh, Kayron, you know, the Kayron is good, but I don't know if you want to find him in this position. Goes for the swipe, does not bust anybody out, and I think you might have found a way to stabilize this draft. There might be an answer here.
This is important. Yet we do resist there once again. Now all of the skill nullifiers are down and out, as well as a blind just for her troubles. She's forced to go into another attack. That's going to be another set of damage, and we're almost back to another Big Crow.
Oh my god. Yeah, this Aria might be the answer, might be exactly what he needs. He needed a blue DPS that could go in early. Oof.
Bird. If this wipes the buffs off of the Kayron, I'm going to be quite afraid, honestly, for left side here. Eaton might be in a bad situation. No, the miss makes sure that we get to play for just a little bit longer. But the Pillis in the back is looking like one nice target for now. Getting the S3 puts her at below half HP.
And now the Kayron's really on his last legs. He needs to S3 the Aria here. No other targets. Every other character still on stealth. That's a crit. Doesn't land enough damage, and the Kayron will not be able to stabilize it. Finally, you stabilizes the game. He's up one match against Cyanox's 2, and he either needs to make a full reverse sweep or he's out.
I wonder if Yoonryoung is still able to draft that Aria. Is he still able to reverse sweep?
We're gonna see it. I mean, EatonDeez finally got a chance to play the second pick character. We saw him; he was so consistent being first pick, and now that it's flipped around, oh, Briarwitch finally banned out, so Bellion is gonna be back on the board. Milim first pick comes through, followed by Kayron. Plus, now it's got to be another character of Eaton's choice.
Wow, that is a strategic changing of pre-bans. He was pre-banning Bellion, but knowing Yoonryoung, I was surprised because I didn't think he was going to take advantage of books too much outside of Million, which is what we saw in previous draft. He didn't actually take advantage of the aggro book potential, right? And so I'm glad that they're now pre-banning Briar right there, but EatonDeez going for the Ran. We know from yesterday it was a slower Ran. It was actually Ran that had like 15k HP, a bit on the slower side, maybe even 160 speed or so. I wonder if he changed his builds for today.
As we said, this game a lot of times, especially in a tournament setting, is about studying your opponents. That's why we do have the one-day break when you get into the top 8. Yeah.
It's possible if they have 2 Rans, like some demonic people that I know, this might be the way to completely shut down Yoonryoung's milim draft here.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. You have to guess correctly, cannot guess wrong. It will go for the Lua once again, as well as the Bunny Dom. I think picking up this combination is very crucial here, because while the Bunny Dom isn't the best versus a Ran, you want to be able to S2 on your Lua just in case this is a slower protection set Ran. You can at least pick out one target, put them to sleep, strip all of their protection set buffs, and then reset them from there.
I see. So it's interesting because actually EatonDeez, looking like a actual Pokemon trainer, he is picking out a Rimuru, a contested, fabled starter pick among some of our other Pokemon tourney participants, and I wonder how Yoonryoung is going to respond to all that damage, all that aggression, alongside the Anchor of Bellion shutting out Milim's book, which I was suspecting didn't matter too much, but we shall see.
Yeah, man really picked the Ditto, says, yeah, I got transformed, bro. You need a fire unit, that's a fire unit. He a green unit too, but guess what? If we need him to be, he's a water unit as well. He's every element out here, and I think that's the biggest advantage, and I don't think Yoonryoung's draft has enough things to shut it down. Ooh. Okay.
Believe in a higher power.
When you're on your back legs, there is always the option of relying on ML Violet. I mean, AOL's out of the game, C Lilias is out of the game, and Briar Witch is out of the game. No reason not to pick him, right?
Bucket, we ball. I'm a little bit afraid of those buffs getting stolen. But bucket, we ball, I guess, huh?
We are definitely balling here because I'm seeing that Rylot has to survive some onslaught of immortality shenanigans with Kayron here. Is Rylot able to close out the game? Good matchup into Bellion. Natural matchup into this Rylot, or sorry, into the Ran, right? But I don't know about this Rylot. Maybe am a god doubter.
Once again, handshake on the last pick. Destina taking out for Yoonryoung, so not a lot of sustain nor cleanse going out for him, while Spectre Teamwork gets taken out. The single target anchor threat for EatonDeez.
We do see the protection set on everyone. Lua is going to only able to control one unit from her S3. Let us see what Yoonryoung chooses to target. Actually goes on the Ran, sleeps the Ran, but procs the Rimuru CR manipulation.
Oh, this is gonna get a little bit weird. Immunity gets put back up on the Ran. Not like it matters too much here, but the only issue is Ran now has a chance to resist, but he doesn't. Okay, well, I don't want to say that before it came out, you know, get accused of the casting.
That is not very good at all. I said the one thing I was worried about, we do miss, but we do grant an entire team evasion.
Yes.
2 defense breaks as well. That's nothing to scoff at, but that is the power of Doctor's Bag on Bunny Dom and why I like it so much. You can cleanse so much of the BS that comes through of the single debuffs, and now Remnant Violet finally stands at the pinnacle. He says, nah, I win.
Ooh,
goes right into the Bellion. That's a miss though, but still. Looking as confident as ever.
To a counterattack, and he gets it!
Oh,
wow. We need to go. We need to reform the plan. We need to take it back to square one. Lord above, we need to go back to church because there's not quite enough faith enabling the plays we need. Now, Milim does have some additional hit chance. She does hit the S3, but is it enough we need? No, it is not. The Belian still stands with just a squint of HP.
Bunny Dom takes up her second turn, drops to sleep. Resisted on the Ran. Hold on a second.
Could be resist Ran. Very low in terms of speed, so that stat is going somewhere. This Kayron is going into a team of full HP, but he is ready to start wrecking.
Please don't hit. Oh my god.
Symbol of Unity. Symbol of Unity does not hit.
Bro.
I was about, if he hit there, I was gonna cry. I was just gonna start crying on camera.
Oh my goodness. That is, you know, when you know you're watching a very experienced play, they know when they got to take the gambles. They know when they have to go into the evasion units just to proc their win condition. Milim gets provoked through her evasion right there. Belling getting a lot of value. ML Violet goes for the defense broken Ran. I mean, that's a fat chunk of lifesteal. Dual attack right there. Hang on a second. This is huge.
Oh my god, absolutely! It hits. Obviously, the evasion buff is gone. It's gonna put EatonDeez's favorite character down to 1 HP. Now it seems like the momentum is swinging just a little bit. The evasion wasn't anything to worry about. We just had to wait it out, and now we're in the kind of position where you hit back. Yoonryoung absolutely going for the upset reversal on the reverse sweep.
Oh, man.
Yes, it's really... That was the safest way to proc kayron, right? We know this kayron's on counter side. We know it has Symbol of Unity. It was gonna potentially swipe away our DPSs. But now, this kayron...
More evasion! More evasion!
Are they able to just one-shot the Bunny Dom and clean up from here? Actually goes on the Lua. He is making the decision to make the high-risk, high-reward play.
It crits!
Crits!
Oh my god, takes the Lua out, extends all his buff duration by a turn. He knew the Lua was coming back up, cycling the S2, S3. He had to take her out right there, and once again, we highlight it. He's always taking these gambles, and it didn't pay off the last time, but it pays off this time. And oh my god, that's how this guy is legend. First picking fire kayron. What a draft. Bunny Dom now, though, going to top her team off, barriering up Rimuru, kayron against 2 evasion heroes. Do they have this in the bag? It's looking real tough, but so far this kayron has been holding it down.
The kayron has been holding it down with speed buff, though. Kind of anti-synergy, kind of virus. I am unsure. Oh my
Counter-attack,
god.
Riley gets critted out!
Oh, he's gone! He's gone in one simple attack, Lord above!
Oh,
He doesn't even get to stay. Now, here's the important thing, right? We have this here. The follow-up is going to be coming through. Won't be doing too much, but it will be stealing souls. You know, I like souls. You like souls, yeah?
Soul Steal is so big because it makes sure it might not be able to kill the milim on hit. Actually goes for it, kills the milim, and he secures
Oh my good lord!
Oh my god.
kayron stands. He defies the reverse sweep alone by himself. He didn't need the Rimuru. He didn't even really need the rest of the team. They were just meat bags to provide the easy victory for him as he sets up EatonDeez to head into the finals of the tournament.
EatonDeez securely puts himself into the tournament. So now, looking at the other matchup in the semifinals, we have Arcane TrueFan versus Light. All right, speaking of great matchups, and I think this is another great matchup. We've seen these guys go head-to-head before in our tournaments, and I think we're about to go right back into it. See who comes out on top. We've seen this matchup before. Rimuru versus the Fire Lilias. And, oh man.
We're in the finals, right, Valk?
No, this is the semis.
Oh, this is the semis. I thought we were.
Yeah, Valk, I thought you were ready to do your Pooh's impression of hoo, but no, you are just geared and ready for this.
Well, I think my excitement caught me there for a second there, because I could easily imagine, obviously, both of these incredibly strong competitors making their way to the finals, but unfortunately, only one of them is going to be able to make it there, and both of them don't want to see Lua in this game at all. Maybe a little bit too wanted after her previous experiences in the last one. Maybe we just need to make a wanted poster just for Lua, all on her lonesome. And speaking of deviants that need to be hunted down in the streets, Light obviously coming up with the Rimuru, but backed up by the Conqueror Lilias, which means Adamantoise won't get to pull off that favorable triple Lilias strategy that some people love. And speaking of triple strategies, we get the RGB coming through on left side, Fumir coming in to fulfill the trifecta and give Adamantoise that winning strategy that we've seen play out so many times again and again and lead him to this position of victory.
Right, and Adamantoise is really punishing the fact that Light's draft does not have any cleansers right now. And maybe only AU Fiend having somewhat of a selfish cleanse. I mean, it seems like Lulucar could have the potential, even with Fumir banned out, to completely disrupt Light's game plan.
I mean, we saw this draft earlier today, right? Where it was Adamantoise playing this RGB special into a Abyssal Euphine, and it's really critical how he pilots and plays this matchup that's going to determine whether or not he comes out ahead. Takes the Aiden, which we kind of expect, but I don't expect a Spectre Tenebria versus a Last Rider crowd versus an Abyssal Euphine. That's a unit you want to hide away in the bag, but against double DPS, that's probably going to have to fight through this Conqueror Lilias with the Vigor buff. That's feeling a little bit rough to me. I don't know if you boys agree with that.
I am now in favor of Light's draft, actually, because I think the Aiden, the idea is that her S3 provides invulnerability for the rest of your teammates, but sure, that's only one turn. It seems like Light's team has enough gas to like last a lot of turns with AuFiend there.
Ooh, Fire Lilias goes for the S2 but doesn't land it. Gets pushed back on this, so now Rimuru really gets to do what he wants to do before the Fire Lilias can really play the game. S3 does come out. Does he fish for the defense break or does he try to go for a pick? Picks right onto the Fumir. Ticks damage goes through. Whew. That's looking slightly rough.
And I see the speed tuning there, so it's really possible that Fumir is able to push back this LRK. And if that's the case, oh, that counterattack is pivotal. Oh my god. Now Fumir isn't able to disrupt LRK, so it seems like LRK is able to go, probably kills the Stene, potentially chipping away at the Aiden, and it's looking like a very much uphill battle for Adamantoise.
Counterattack goes through here, but I don't know if that's enough. You want to use this Aiden to one-shot the AuFiend, but you're going through a barrier. You're going through a vigor buff, and damage comes through. Oh, and that barely tickles her, and hits the Aiden as well. Attack down comes right through.
So now Aiden's passive is gone, so she wouldn't be counterattacking this trauma hit, and it's like, even if it's a miss, it's almost enough to kill the Aiden, and now the game is looking somewhat over.
Yep, GG comes out. First game will go over to Light. Light is up now 1-0 in the semis.
And I think he has some information. He has the information that Lilias is not on immunity. And maybe Light re-gear for this and have a res Lilias, but if not, if that was just 15%, Adamantoise might actually be able to win back some tempo using the same draft. So I'm curious if he ends up going that Fire Lilias starter into the Fumir Ludukar, sort of enabling tempo.
Well, we're looking at a very similar round of pre-bans. No Conqueror Lilias this time, however, so Light needs to get a little bit more creative being first pick here.
Yeah, you see this here because it's a little bit of an old trick, right, that we haven't seen for a bit. You know, both of them initially banned out the Lua. Adamantoise saying, well, I know what you don't like to see. Let me take advantage of that to switch up that pre-ban and get one of the more troublesome units out of your roster.
Yeah. And I mean, you're taking a risk here too, right? Because if you let something out the cage, your opponent could just spring back onto that. We saw that earlier. So both players led up the Lua, and the player who was second pick was able to snatch that right up and swing that momentum for a win. Light now, though, contemplating his options. He's got the beat-on up on board. But no Conqueror Lilias, so does he go for a slower composition here, hovering the Arrowell? I wouldn't put it out of the question. Actually, one of his most played heroes this season, but locks in the Last Rider crowd.
Okay, Arrowell or Last Rider or Maid, I could see as very viable options. With AOL pre-ban, with Berseria pre-ban, I mean, you're looking at a game where Maid tempo into... Ooh, okay. Wow, we are seeing the thing that makes Divine sometimes go into his hibernation, but Divine is trying to fight through those urges because he is supporting this Adamantoise turtle.
So I want to add context to this, right, boys? I remember when we were designing the rule set for this, like literally a full month and a half ago, right? We were really contemplating, hey, if we want people to pick a DPS, what if they pick like something like a Fire Lilias, except they're not on Aureus? And we're like, hey, I think that's fine, right? All three of us said, I think that's fine, because if they go Adamant, Aureus plus a support, they need to be able to draft perfect DPSs in 4-5, or else I think it's still a loss for them. And I mean, here they're going to need two DPS that not only doesn't feed the LRK, but also beat an Abyssal AuFiend, which I think is really tough order.
Yeah, it is a very tough order, but Light actually goes for the diversity in DPSs and goes 3 DPS win conditions potentially into this tank down draft, which I actually really like, because I think with AuFiend there are some DPSs that 1-for-1 check AuFiend, but now that there's Sormia on the board, it becomes a lot tougher. If we're thinking about the ML Chem matchup, if we're thinking about Lethe, it means these units need to take their rotations, get a kill, and then take their rotations, get a kill again before these units like Sormia start ramping up, right?
ML Ken is one of those units I was thinking of. I mean, great matchup versus both of the crit DPS coming out from Light, great against Yufine, and I would say it's more of a 50-50 versus the Lionheart Symia, but because he has more supports on his team, I would say ML Ken is the quintessential carry here. I'm expecting a handshake on the Aiden and the ML Ken here, remove for both players. In my opinion, I think Light maybe want to play into the Lethe a bit more, but who knows? I want to see what these players decide.
It's looking really rough for either. The match could go both ways depending on the build of Airwall, depending on whether or not they can actually be able to stun out the Symia right after the Symia ramps up. If this ML Ken has enough.
Whoa, and both
players gone on both sides.
They said, "Bam, mid time, go. We need it. We're going into it, and we're gonna hit each other hard."
All right, well, no protection. This game is going to get down and dirty real quick. So race to the base and put down your opponent as quickly as possible. And Lilias starts off that race with a simple S1, hoping to let loose with the rest of her arsenal in a turn just from now, which sets up the Rimuru to take the turn here. Easy, nice pickings for him as he might choose to debilitate and put down the entire team with the S3. Comes out. Let's see that damage landing on Lilias.
And we are going to copy over that speed buff. We're going to try to play tempo with this. Lionheart Symia pushes up to the top. 2 defense break, including the ML Ken.
Resists.
She resists. That is such a big resist. Ooh, that defense broken ML Ken looking like he might just be one-shot by this Symia. Defense buff. I know Light Symia is cracked. Able to clean up versus both of the DPSs. Destina can revive, but they're at the back of the CR bar. And we see Aiden potentially following up. We see Lethe. We see Yufine potentially following up. Ooh.
I mean, Adamantoise doesn't have any moves. You have to all in here, right? If you Destina self S2, it just takes away so much tempo. He does commit to it, though. He says, my Destina survives another turn. But look at that, 25% CR instead of 50%. The self S2 on Destina is usually considered such a power move, but here against the Abyssal Yufine, she can't get the full value, although Guardian Ice Crystal does top her off, so HP equalized a little bit. Aiden now being fully committed. S3 is coming out. Goes on the Destina. We are going to pressure for the kill. Doesn't land it, though. We still have 3 DPS on the way. Speed buff on the Lionheart Symia. It's looking rougher and rougher. Rimuru gets another one, and Lion is closing in. She's on the prowl, waiting for her targets.
The Uber's Tooth coming in as one of the last procs. I say the last procs because I'm pretty sure we're looking at the ending right here. A clean sweep from Lionheart Symia puts to dust the good old Destina, and we would have been 1 turn away from the follow-up slash putting it to an end. Light goes 2-0 in the matchup in the AceTrainer Pokemon Battle Supreme Royal Rumble Victory Road Royale.
This is on the ropes for Adamantoise. Light is up 2-0. Adamantoise either, once again, needs to reverse sweep, or he's going home for the night. One more time. He's got that first pick 3 times in a row. He's digging. He's got to fish for something that works. We know he's a good player. He's made drafts work for him before. He's got to find something that's going to be able to beat this Rimuru draft.
Now he's going back to pre-banning the Symia because he's realizing maybe Briar he could play into. We saw a lot of players play into Briar or steal Briar, but that would have not been possible with him selecting for first pick instead of the second pick. And now we're seeing Light potentially hovering a Knight to just play that tank down, sort of slower game versus the Fire Lilias, which I think is very much respectable just because we know how diverse of a villain and player Light is. He is wanted for a lot of things, and he has that pentagon in his stat allocation.
And I think the main important thing is last Reddit crowd took a bit of a fall. He kind of dropped off the meta thanks to units in part like Gala Lilias, thanks in parts to unit like Conqueror Lilias still being quite good. But in this scenario, you got the Rimuru protecting you against the actions from the Gala Lilias, being able to copy her damage limit buffs and all that good stuff. So as an opening combination, that's actually not too bad, especially with all the aggressive units eliminated from being able to be drafted.
I fully agree here. I mean, the Rimuru would be able to 1-for-1 trade and set up some sort of attack buff for the DPS to follow up if this LRK is nuked. And I mean, LRK kind of prevents Fire Lilias from pressing some of her buttons, and also is just granting that immunity so that if there are any non-attacks coming up afterwards for Light's draft, then they wouldn't be provoked by this Fire Lilias.
And now we see something that we actually haven't seen yet in the tournament. That's Knockwall, just appearing many times, making it through the draft absolutely frickin' zero. This is a monster that nobody has let out of their cage yet, but Light might be the first to get it done, especially if he picks a draft that he feels is comfortable enough to overtake and maybe having an overbearing effect on Adamantoise. He's not hiding in his shell at all. And speaking of shells, you know I love saying that. We've got the defensive knight herself with a little bit attacked with a lot of damage actually from what has happened thus far in the tournament. Followed up by, let's see it here, the countdown's ticking.
And I think the
big
most
P
damage
is always going to be a huge threat, and once again we have the Abyssal Euphine. That's such a consistent win condition coming out for him. All of these units, to some degree, will be somewhat disarmed by this Knockwall. So if Adamantoise doesn't pull out a strong 4 and 5, we know this Knockwall might just get knocked out of the park here. So once again, the onus is on Adamantoise. Really got to lock in a good 4 and 5, and we've seen so many times locking down a good 4 or 5 is just such a strong recipe for success.
Yes, and I will say I'm actually surprised on the AU Fiend response into Monk, into Lethe. These are units that are tried and true, depending on matchup, really good into the AU Fiend. And so I wonder how Light is going to be able to cleanse those debuffs off. Ooh.
Popping like popcorn, it's alright. Can you hear the bells ding dong?
Yeah, didn't expect a Jacko Cleave come through here, but I mean, look at Light's composition. It's not very fast. He picks one fast unit now to try to interrupt this aggressive action Adamantoise is mounting, and surely she gets banned out. And Light, on the other hand, needs to be able to figure out an answer. There's just so many ways to strip buffs. We ban out the Jacko to avoid the biggest damage nuke for Adamantoise's side, but he still has so many aggressive units in the Knockwall being able to play control. Briar Witch, at worst, you know, she's like a worse Spectre Tenebria, hiding in the Guiding Light, just peppering down enemies with that extra damage. And alright, Knockwall's being ripped. Let's see how this resolves.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen this Demon Slayer released into the game, and you could tell why that bind is going to be quite complicated, especially for the Abyssal Euphine, especially for the Rimuru, and we're not even done yet. The follow-up there, the counterattack proc, obviously we're not going to be seeing it, however, as the Lilias goes to take her turn as well.
The unfortunate thing, though, is Pillis does not get reset, and so she has the cleanse, fighting off potentially one of the 3 cleanses that could land and destabilize against a Euphine win condition. So now we're looking at a game where Lethe is setting herself up for success. They actually target the Pillis.
All those procs already coming through. You've seen 2 missed opportunities for a counterattack out of the Euphine sitting there in the back. Now we've got the Lilias' turn up. Just going to be simply damaging it into the LRK. He hasn't gotten a chance to use his LR3 yet, so this is a great opportunity to get some damage in so we can finish him off later. That S3 you talked about is here, going to be cleansing some of those debuffs. The bind off of half of the team already, and the provoke also landing on the Lilias as well.
Last Rider Brow can't wait any longer. He's got to press his button and go. He needs to tempo up the game. When you're playing against Knockwall, you got to bust these Guiding Light units out of stealth. You got to start pushing your HP lead. You got such bulky units. I mean, Pillis cleansing is one thing, right? But you cannot counterattack, and you got to get your units out of those debuffs and into their turns fast.
Actually opts to hold the S3, not wanting to give AU Fiend some focus stacks just because the Monk did not successfully seal that AU Fiend, actually lands the attack down now, and this Monk is in a bit of a pickle because we are wondering what they are going to do before Rimuru's turn goes, before they are able to stop this Rimuru from ripping that strong S3, and look at how many buffs the enemy team has.
And this is where it gets really
defense
scary
as well.
I mean, it gives the defense one thing. You do true damage here, but oh, look at that! Only does 8,000 damage. Pillis reduces all incoming extra damage from the Lethe and minus 30%. That is a little bit too much. Rimuru comes through, finally has the S3, rips into the Lethe, extra damage takes her out.
Yeah, the buff buffet on the right side means that Rimuru is going to be doing plenty of damage, getting a follow-up here. That's the 4th counterattack, by the way, that we've narrowly dodged because of that bind. The knockwall value has come through in earnest, but is it enough to seal the game? I'm afraid it just is not. 10k? Was that 10k?
Yes, off of a Death Broken unit. Yeah, because that artifact proc does depend on whether or not the unit is Death Broken. So we're seeing the power of Pillis on her subtle interactions against the Leafy, against the oh my god.
Yeah, Light's absolutely bearing down on Adamantoise. He already has a 2-0 lead, and if he takes out Adamantoise here, he will be going to the finals, and it's not looking good.
I kept thinking it, but at some point, we just wanted a couple more extra souls, maybe the soul burn, and get that clean rip, the debuff, and all the goodness that comes out of the Briar Witch pick, but we didn't get it. She does fall without even getting to use that S3. And shining light on his victory, he moves on into our finals.
And there it is, going into the finals. Looking at our bracket real quick after everything has resolved. Cyanox versus Light. EatonDeez versus Light E7. Oh boy. You know, we got to watch some pretty interesting matches today, and we finally get to see that Fire Kayron versus Rimuru. We said what we needed to say. The boys are ready. Let's just send it. See where this one goes.
Absolutely. We're in the finals right here, right now. The 15% prayers coming from EatonDeez. And I've got to say, you were talking about it earlier. I have complete faith actually in EatonDeez. He's got my confidence. He's got my vote. I think the weirder the matches get, the weirder they tend to turn. He takes an advantage through and through, and I think he's got it right now.
We got the Lua ban, we got the Briar Witch ban, AOL as well, followed by Lilias. So both of these players kind of playing around what beats them. I think Briar Witch too, right? A lot of these units in the first pick really needs their buffs. Rimuru needs his buffs, Kayron needs his buffs. I mean, we even saw earlier today, Green Laika, right, Milim. All of these units kind of drop a lot of their advantage to Briar Witch. So having her locked away for this finals to this tournament, I think is extremely appropriate. Green Laika picked up by EatonDeez as well. So he's looking for a bit of a mix-up there, right? He's not only looking to go slow. We know he's on that counter Kayron, extremely high damage, but also he could go fast should he want to. Arrowwell picked up for Light as well as the Yoonryoung. So not going to be a lot of CR pushing shenanigans with the Laika.
Right, and I was also thinking, like, this Laika actually allows EatonDeez to potentially play more aggressive units like this Aiden that we're going to see, right, into the AU Fiend, just setting up for that, either that Kayron win condition or just stacking buffs on another DPS to close out the game.
And that's a classic SSA comes out. Usually that pick is banned versus him, and in this case, still has one more mystery pick. Light is going to commit the big P. A lot of these AoE counters are going to be losing quite a bit of value, especially combined with the Green Laika as well, the dual attack. So Pillis, really good pick on top of the Arrowwell. Light is looking to tank up and hunker down. He is one tough shell to crack right now.
Absolutely agree. And it's like Laika really forced Light to make a decision. Are you going to race me, return to your roots as a cleaver, or are you going to tank down as you expertly do right now? And we are looking at EatonDeez to potentially pick out a force ban last so that this Acades plus Kayron combo is able to get through. But is Light going to respect this monk pick? We shall see.
Yeah, we've seen, I believe, him be the only one not to respect the knockwall, but he does end up banning it there. The handshake comes out as we begin. These are the finals. I'm not messing around this time. I haven't got it wrong. The only thing you need to get right is right in your seat, because we're heading into it as we speak. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. EatonDeez versus Light. Let's see who brings the best fight.
Heading into this match, Green Laika does take the first turn. I don't think any one of us are surprised here. 2 immunity, 2 no immunity on Light's side. Really awkward decision here, but EatonDeez is going to press. We are going to fish for those sleep and the speed downs. Oh, misses both versus the Yoonryoung. That is really interesting. I mean, there is no hard cleanser for Light's side besides the Pillis, and the Pillis is the only one to get put to sleep so far.
Wow, but the only thing surprising to me is the fact that Laika's artifact is the demonic Lua artifact. So they are able, on the non-attack skill, they didn't proc it right there because they were fearful of the Rimuru, but they might be able to stealth this Kayron, potentially, on the follow-up. Not anymore,
fish for the stun to interrupt
Laika...
the tempo on green Laika's utility here, but biggest worry is, what are we going to do versus this Rimuru when the Rimuru starts bearing down, trying to steal our buffs versus our Fireboy?
Yeah, a 3-turn immortality is nice unless the enemy has it and theirs runs out later. That's a big part of my concerns here. He's going to rip this immortality here.
Now, this is actually going to be a match.
Hits the odd and she's down and out immediately.
He hits the Auden twice, not only on the extra attack by the Rimuru, fully pants grabbing her, but also the Yuffie just chunks her down right now. We're going to drop the S3 on the Kayron. Bottom left 2 buffs are the target. 3-turn immortality, 3-turn attack buff, and we are seeing the Rimuru go really big versus this Kayron that not a lot of people had answers to tonight.
Wow. It was so many buffs, by the way, he couldn't even steal all of them. That's what blows my mind right here.
Yeah, Rimuru only steals 2 buffs, and it starts from the bottom left, essentially. If you want to know what, if a skill it strips or copies 1 buff or it steals 1 buff, it's always the bottom, it starts from the bottom left buff.
So usually
bottom left and then it's the bottom left and then the one next to it or the one above it?
Next to it. So it starts on the bottom left, like, you want to count, like, does the camera see me? You want to start from the bottom left and then go to the right and then upwards once, you're going up the lines.
Yeah, that's the buff we really need. Rimuru just needs to take, like, 5.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
Pants grab. If he takes 5, it's not even a pants grab at that time. It's just a whole outfit rip.
Dude, he's grabbing your life, bro.
He's grabbing your life, but you know what? The life is short on the Kayron as he has just lost access to all those buffs. Now has procced his Immortal Will and his evasion. He's going to need to dodge if he wants to live.
Soulburn is the correct play because it seems like if Pillis lives, they can out-sustain this Kayron's swipe counterattacks.
I mean, ultimately, the problem is, like, well, I thought the Kayron was going to take a turn, and all units are on 1 turn of immortality, but with this Yuffie being so fast, she's going to cycle herself out of trauma and also out of immortality, but these units are a little too tanky.
Could we get 1 counter, please? Please, I'm begging you. Can Kayron wake up? Wake up, Kayron!
Counters?
Wake up, Kayron!
No,
Begging?
Arrow gets the skill, doesn't go
Kayron,
for it.
wake up! Wake up, for God's sakes, you mother!
Into full HP. Oh, and Light secures the first round.
Right now. You better pop off in these next couple. I don't even want to say it's bias. I just want to see the match be good, and unfortunately, I don't want Eaton to be let down by this guy falling asleep at the goddamn job. You would think he had bind on him or something.
No, I absolutely agree with you. Like, in my heart of hearts, I know for a fact, right, that I know for a fact that the Kayron, even if you counter every time there, I don't think that was a win just because of how much damage the Pillis can mitigate. But still, like, I want to see the damage go through and for the Kayron to have tried and failed instead of just, like, him just going like, nah, I'll stay home and nap, bro. I'm good.
Yeah, because then we can start yapping about the Pillis being so valuable if there was so much counterattacks going off, or, like, oh, is the Rimuru gonna live? Oh, is these immortality gonna wear off? But then all we saw was just, it's
this is a really interesting update. Because EatonDeez knows he has the first pick, he's actually changed up his pre-bans a little bit. He let up the C Lilias, but now he's put the green Luluka underbans, knowing that Light will be reaching for her as one of his options to fight the Lilias, and now he's swinging a bit of a different composition here, going for the Navy Captain Landy with the Lilias. I mean, that's a personal favorite of mine. Oh, Lilias plus the 2 heaviest anchors in the game. You gotta find a way to not only fight through anti-crit, but now also through half of your CR, and, if this is anything like the setup I like to play, 2 Elbrus Ritual Swords. Even if you're going through single target attacks, touching anything is a counterattack hazard.
Listen, we had the 3-turn immortality before, but why do we need the 3-turn immortality if our tanks are just so strong? You won't be seeing them go until turn 5, 6, 7. Yes. And you know, if there's somebody who... No, go ahead. You're more handsome.
I was very excited with this Lethe pick here because it's a matter of, okay, is this arrow wall tank down alongside Rimuru stealing some buffs? Is Lethe going to be enough to slowly swipe away on her turns with speed up, slowly kill these DPSs? It is definitely a battle of attrition when Lethe is brought forth like this.
I'm trying to figure out right now if this is a double mid ban again. No, last starter crowd banned out, but Lethe, I think, a little bit too much pressure versus both of these double anchors. One of the few ways to land enough true damage to knock them both out. Conqueror Lilias, though, going to be able to take first turn and put up both Vigor buff for her entire team.
And the Vigor buff is just going to make us even stronger. I mean, there's plenty of buffs up on the table for Rimuru to steal, but he's gonna have a hard time feeling around those grubby little mitts on getting all of them.
Oh, those are some nice buffs for Rimuru to enable his S3 regardless, but it seems like even if Rimuru nukes out a unit, Senya might be struggling fighting uphill to clean up versus another unit, and then we get to the equation of, okay, how can we kill the kayron?
Well, that's really interesting. I didn't expect this. Normally, when you're fighting a composition like this with two anchors, you want to very, very methodically disassemble them. But here, Light is just S1ing into the Abyssal Yuffie, giving her 20% of all the stacks she needs. No counterattack so far. 2 out of 2. And, oh, Landy saw her last legs already. Jeez.
Now, Light's come to an interesting decision that he has to make. Does he actually just S1 kill the candy? Or does he use the S3 to give some tempo and some stun? Actually, S does the best of both worlds. Gets the barrier on some units that might not need it right now, but also kills out the Landy, which is pretty valued.
See, Lilias is going to lap around here, and this is where the party starts. Pulls the attack from the Abyssal Yuffie, but our Lionheart Senya is going to wake up. Oh, did you see that? That's so dirty. I hate this artifact so much. Nostalgic Music Box puts a defense buff on the Abyssal Yuffie. Bro, what the fuck? That is exactly what he needed. EatonDeez is already down 1 unit. Defense buff for the Abyssal Yuffie. Vigor buff as well. That is exactly what the doctor ordered for him to even have a chance to come back into this match. Jeez. I'm a little intimidated, I'll be honest.
Listen, a little bit of good luck after the travesty that was the last game is fine. And speaking of travesties, Kayron makes his S3 pick here, doesn't make it through the anti-crit buff, and we're going to be saying goodbye to Conqueror Lilias. We're sitting at 2 carries on the left side, and they've got to make it work. Yes, well, Kayron coming out proving he was on counter buff all along. Some people didn't even believe that, ladies and gentlemen, and it swipes out half of the HP on the arrow, another quarter gone, as she's gone on low reserves, and she is the HP battery for the rest of the team here.
Now Abyssal Yuffie is ready to roll. She's full fighting Spirit Bar. Next time she takes a turn, very likely to win the game. Light has a very small window to start running it down. Counterattack comes through on the Abyssal Yuffie. Doesn't land any attack downs though, and Lionheart Senya needs to make a play here, and she's gonna let her rip.
Letting it rip, but I wonder if that's enough to kill Senya. It actually is. That damage is insane, but now it doesn't have defense buff, so it might not be enough to kill through the Holy Sack Shield. It does kill. That is huge, but now we are still standing at the final frontier, needing to kill off this kayron. Do we have enough to do it?
Miss, no counter, immortality for 1. This is a very interesting turning point. Kayron is reset. Cyanox has impeccable target selection with this Kayron S3. We are going to take out the main form of mitigation here. The Kayron is slow enough, and you just let these units cycle themsells. And once again, we're back.
Ooh, we are praying. We are definitely praying.
1. Keep it. You better do your goddamn job. 2.
Ooh.
2. You better do your goddamn job. You got 1 job here.
3. Now we are going under the statistical average.
Chat with me. Chat. Oh my God, he's come back around to this.
Rimuru made it back. Oh goodness.
But it's not going to steal the immortality. It is only 1 turn evasion. It's not that big of a deal. Kayron still might be able to counter.
And 5 attacks, no counter.
5.
S1, just S1 here is likely. Oh, opts for the S3, actually gets to cycle the Rimuru, boosting it up. We don't know if that's the best.
Finally, counterattack comes
He's
through.
up on the 6.
Oh, but pushes up the Senya, which is actually what he wants.
Oh my goodness, what the fuck is happening?
Oh no.
Oh, but that does give the immortality here.
Gives the immortality.
You just S1. You don't even, you just S1 because you get to keep it as well.
Wow. And now it looks like this Rimuru, tried and true, has the focus band, does not care. Oh my god.
Eaton, you absolute, I mean, not Eaton, sorry, kayron, I need to see you in my office immediately, okay? I need you to come down to the counselor's office. We need to start talking. Is there something wrong here? Who hurt you? Who fucking hurt you? Because 8 people hurt you, and you didn't give a damn. You look like every middle school bully who ends up at the top of a top 500 Fortune company like a decade later. You got bullied by like 6 motherfuckers and you did nothing. You did nothing with your life.
Well, let's see if they're going to Hawaii for this match. And if EatonDeez can't steal out at least 1 win against Light going into it, holy moly.
If he ends up going to Hawaii, maybe we see the 16-day reward in Hawaii happening. But if not, I am looking forward to EatonDeez reverse sweeping, coming back with the kayron.
Let me change up the music for this. Pokemon Alola Elite 4 theme. Let me throw this up. Hopefully, you know, this changes the tide and things. And if it doesn't, fellas, just know I tried.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to give you the song for the finals here. Oh, well, Eaton will win this one. But afterwards.
Yeah, we got the Alolan. We are officially in Hawaii, okay? It's time for Charizard to wake up.
Wake the fuck up, old man. It's time to get to work!
Ooh. Picks the preemptive Bunny Dom, potentially setting up for some C. Lilias tempo. Or actually not. So I wonder what the Bunny Dom will do. If we are seeing another freshly cooked draft by Cyanox. Maybe he's been learning some recipes as he's sailing into the Alolan Islands.
Just pick Navy. I don't even care anymore. Just pick all the
I think
shit.
Knockwool right here, extremely potent character.
I don't want potent. I want busted and broken. I want it absolutely tilted. I'm abandoning all hope of neutrality on here. Just get one Eaton. You deserve it. After all this terrible luck. Elena comes through on the right side. Even if he does get lucky, I guess she'll be putting a stop to it. But holy cheese and bologna, this is... Just give it to him, man. Just give him a break.
I know Divine means I've never seen Divine root this hard for a French guy, and you know I can't help back my buddy up.
He's French?
Yes.
He is French.
Never mind. Reserved.
I was gonna say, I was like, man, Divine's really making some strides in like his character progression today. I've never seen Divine root for a French guy before. Let's fucking go. Take my oh no. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I'm chilling.
Light, take it. Bring us home. Where's my light gear? Where's my light shirt?
Yeah, bring out your light shirt. You're
about to get a fucking about to turn on like the fucking flashlight on my phone and just be like, light.
Strollers.
That's how I do.
Dude, but I think that Pillis Eleanor response is perfect into the kayron and into the Aiden. You know, completely neutralizing the counterattacks that those damage could be outputting.
I'm seeing some questions in the chat, questioning the post ban on the Rimuru. Let me review the rules real quick, because as far as I remember, you can't pre-ban, but you are allowed to in fact post-ban your opponent's starter Pokemon.
Yeah. Ooh.
Always the French trying to stir up trouble in our tournament. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, you are allowed to leave it in. I'm pretty sure we did decide that was okay.
Are you looking at the rules right now, though?
I'm reading it. I'm covering it right now. It just says you may not pre-ban your opponent's starter. We're good. I knew we were fine. I knew we were fine. I had to double check because people in chat was questioning. I was like, multiple, right? If it was one guy, I can just assume he wasn't reading correctly, but it was multiple.
Massive counterattack when everybody has invincibility, you goddamn turds. I feel like I'm about to turn into Gordon Ramsay here. What are you, an idiot sandwich?
I mean, Abyssal Euphine is almost full, but the only problem is she's reset. And when she's reset, it's one of the hardest counters to her. She cannot be traumatized, meaning she needs to take one whole nother rotation before she gets to be useful.
And even with the immortality, invulnerability buffs,
Oh, no, it does come through. We've seen such impressive ER stats, especially from EatonDeez. I thought for sure that was going to make it through.
Dang, okay, so, but even with the invulnerability, it's possible for Kayron to cycle out and start doing the thing that he's best at doing.
That was really clutch. Kayron, you know, really needed to pass this turn to get into his immortality, and Yuffie not being able to proc that immortality for that one turn Kayron back into the safety of being what was it, having his passive. If that immortality procced on that turn, would have been disastrous.
Yeah, and let's give him some more safety. With the invincibility now coming up for the team, it's going to help protect us from some of these upcoming terms. And let's also put the Abyssal Yuffie to sleep. Let her sit down there for a couple seconds, think about what she's done. We go for, obviously, there, the strip on the invincibility, but this time we will not be able to take it from our man.
Regardless, Abyssal Yuffie going to be able to cleanse herself, and doesn't look like there's enough tempo on Eaton's team to be able to stop her full bar, and she's going to take the turn. Knockwall might need to fish for a big play. Goes for the S1 for the pushback, but no, doesn't land the silence, no pushback, only procs a counter.
That is going to be huge because even with that seal, Pillis might be able to cleanse and just stabilize. So this Yuffie is ramped up, revved up, ready to go. We are once again looking at a Kayron endgame where he will proc the immortality after being cozy in his shield.
Proc you donut. Ooh. Proc you donut.
Oh boy, Abyssal Yuffie #1 comes through. We're gonna take out the Knockwall. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, at this point, I'm not even sure she needs the traumatized combo.
Yeah, I think.
So unfortunately, I don't think there's a target for the Kayron S3. I don't think anyone dies from it.
I mean, if he was able to get a turn, he can potentially grab the Yuffie, but in this case, definitely not. Everything is just
stabbed and put him down before. We need to resist. We do. But we also needed to counter.
All right, we are back once again.
Oh my god.
Oh, the defense buff. Everyone
the defense
heals.
buff, the heal, the doctor's bag, everything.
No. This is looking rough for our hero against the villain.
What do you even pick in this position?
Yeah, one last struggle. We're gonna burn on the Kayron. Swipe goes through. Good damage, but not going to be enough. Light takes the final of this matchup in a 3-0 for the Victory Road Royale, meaning he's ascending to the top of the mountain at the end of the Victory Road. And what is this? What is this boss fight music? Who do we have here? You know, we thought this entire time, we thought Light was the villain, but the real villain, okay. Going up into the mountain, there he is. There's another 5-star wanted fugitive, very recently drinker of the Pill-Aid. And you know, you can find him usually at twitch.tv/AceTrainer. This is the man with a lot of Pokemon. He's got Pokemon out the wazoo. Rattata as well, huh? To clarify for everybody again, Light is the winner of the Victory Road Rumble. He will be taking home the first place prize. But now we're just playing for the top of the mountain. We're playing for 700 Sky Stones. If Light beats Ace, then he'll be taking home the 700 Sky Stones on top of the Sky Stones he's winning for winning the tournament. So over 3,000. But if he doesn't beat him, we'll be adding an additional round of
Guess that Pokemon.
Guess that Epic 7 hero. Yup. We'll be adding an additional round to play for this 700 Sky Stones. So, you guys might want to root for AceTrainer. That's all I'm going to say. But whenever these boys are ready, let's just send it. We're going all gas, no brakes. All right, coming out of the pre-bans, let's see. Lua AOL, a bit of an overlap on the Lua, but AOL taking out Briar Witch, taken out, which after AceTrainer's Milim is going to leave Light with the Rimuru, with the Conqueror Lilias. I think looking at just the opening, slightly favored towards Light once again. That Rimuru is just so flexible throughout all of this. AceTrainer, though, does pick up for himself that Bunny Dominil, so much Temple. And there it is. Taking away the arrow wall is just removing a lot of ways that Light can tank down. But now he's in a very comfortable position to play Last Rider Kraut and the Abyssal Euphine on top of that. Oh yeah, Hez, can you set up a Gamba real quick? It just set it to like 1 minute.
Sure.
Yeah, also close out the last Gamba. Alright, Lethe does come out for Ace, though. This is one of the surefire ways to take out so many of the units that Light has on board. So 2 sources of damage right now, as well as 2 sources of support.
Yeah, you have to also consider here that Ace was in a position to watch this climb and possibly notice from a high off perspective all the way up in the mountains the exact kind of opportunities, the exact kind of strategies that are opened up and can be shut down against Light here. So he's learned and he stands well above in a position to finally take down this demon, claim that wanted bounty, and bring some justice, especially to the kayron believers who seem to be in a tizzy as of late.
I do like that Dark Corvus. So Dark Corvus is not something I've seen a lot, but I feel like Dark Corvus almost forces a ban whenever somebody is trying to play the Abyssal Euphine. While I do think Abyssal Euphine beats most matchups, all those extra AoEs just do a little bit too much to ramp the Dark Corvus, and a Dark Corvus Soul Burn can just send her right back home. Always. Coming out of the draft, Lethe ban out, as well as Last Rider Kraut. Rylot, though, see Lilias Rylot, I think is an extremely strong combo that's going to be able to keep Light in this game. So AceTrainer really needs to rely on his support core of the Arrow Wall and the Bunny Dom to be able to fight back.
We get the grab from the rimuru, putting escort on everyone. I'm not sure that's exactly the buff you kind of want on your team, but it'll be standing there nice and pretty and will still give us the edge on getting those extra buff counts up so we can get that extra damage with the S3. Light lets it rip and it falls down on the milim. Ooh, almost shuts her down, but not going to quite be doing enough. However, we do have a follow-up from the Rylot that would shut her down. So instead, let's get a push-up from our favorite gal, Moon Bunny, coming in to help in and maybe put ourselves in a less precarious position as the shutdown comes from the Arrowwell. Does the stun follow through? And yes, indeed it does. Now, souls are up for the milim. The S1 comes out. Also procs a counterattack, however.
Slightly scary, but look at that. It's charging up the Dark Corvus so much. Dark Corvus literally only needs 3 more stacks. It hits the Rylot. That's massive.
It's even more. Ooh, but that does hit the milim. She's still pretty much at death's door, and I'm afraid that Uber's Tooth could push her in, so we have to get that provoke on from the Rimuru, and now we're ready to Dark Corvus as well. I'm saying this looks great for our champion Red. Looks like those...
I don't know. I'm a little bit conflicted right now. I would say Dark Corvus is prepped and ready to go, but Abyssal Euphine is looking at a full bar, and she is slightly ahead of it compared to the Dark Corvus. Another counterattack goes through, though.
Yeah, we do live, and we're going to give the Sea Lilias a rude awakening as we basta soul our way out of here, steal any of those remaining souls. Rimuru just has to go, and it looks like if you were paying attention, if you were subscribers 0 through 12, you could tell that this is AceTrainer on the hunt with all that proficiency from his Bloodborne playthroughs. He might be taking care of this quicker than we even thought. The trauma comes through with the S3 from the Euphine. My only question is this enough to put him back in a favorable position?
I mean, it completely knocks out the Milim. The starter Pokemon is out of here. Charizard doesn't do anything. AceTrainer, very intelligent, slept the Conqueror Lilia so as to remove 1 turn from her to not get that extra attack. But, oh, goes in on the Dark Corvus. That is not enough damage, but she gets another hit. Hang on a second. Still not enough. Wow.
The Durandal also pushing him up here, and speaking of those push-ups, it's going to be Moon Bunny pushing him up once again. Do we have enough of the souls, however? I have to wonder if we're on the precipice of it, because we may want them. They're definitely going to guarantee we shut down the game if we're in a position to get them.
Oh, but that's not good, though. See, Lilias does get her walk coming through, drops the attack down, and but okay.
We might have forgotten a little bit about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but hey, maybe he's just looking to get some damage through, but nah. That is a GG coming out for Light. AceTrainer actually manages to beat back the Rimuru for one of the first times today. We see the Rimuru beaten down. Light, though, asking for first pick. We're going to go right into it. Ace is up 1, so Light is the one now who needs to make a comeback. Once again, coming into it, both players not going to adjust their pre-bans. We got Lua overlapped twice, but this time, Lilias will be going over to AceTrainer. I think Light might want to not have the pressure of having to play this Conqueror Lilias. I think Conqueror Lilias at this point is no longer a low-risk, high-reward unit. At the point where we're at now, I think she is sort of a medium risk, medium reward, or to some degree even a high risk, high reward. Light now going for a really interesting opening. Bunny Dom into the Payra. This is one of those extremely flexible openings. One anchor, Bunny Dom plus Payra. You can cleave from this. You can stabilize and play turn 2 from this. Lots of options, all up to you. But DJB is going to be able to fight back against the Payra, especially with a barrier inversion. And if this is a cleave Payra, MLK will knock her out of the park.
Yeah, and what I like the most about Light's draft here is it really seems to be threading the needle. Obviously, we picked the Moon Bunny, who does punishes those extra turns, then which puts us in a safe position to pick up this Payra. That gets responded to by the DJB, who's always a natural counter, but we stay cool, we pick the Lethe, and we're going to be ending our draft here with possibly another highly devastating character, especially if you want to stay safe or tank up in any regard. Flipping through the Strays, flipping through the Urban Shoe, but whatever we go with, actually going into the Pillis Abuse, going for the Pillis Abuse against the well-known Pillis Abuser. The villain is actually committing another crime here, identity theft, right before our eyes, as Light scrambles and takes any strategy he can to win against this insurmountable defense being put up by Ace thus far.
Whoa! What is that? That is a relic of the past. You know, we were talking about seeing some double, even triple Lilias drafts, but a double Bazaar draft in 2023 is not something I expected to see. Not a lot of cleanse left for Light's team, but that is one of the better units to have to strip all of the buffs and to block all incoming future buffs available. I mean, holy moly. There is one cleanse though for Light in the form of the Big P. I mean, she's meta for a reason right now, but still, Green Bazaar going to be able to create a lot of space.
Now we get the turn coming out from our little, I'm about to say something else, from our Payra over there, getting a lot of those buff blocks, particularly a little bit more disastrous, I would say, on the Milim. But if we can hold out, we might be able to burn the souls or do what we need to get the advantage out instead.
And I think the one part here that makes this match particularly tough is the fact that this Rimuru is not slow. He's got a good bit of bulk, good bit of damage from what we've seen, but 240 to 250-ish speed means that he's going to be able to cut above this Milim. Milim does not get a chance. Even cut above the Bazaar doesn't get the pushback. Milim can't soul burn herself out of this danger level, and big zap comes in. Pulls the counter from the MLK. Immunity's going to protect against that, so it won't be doing too much. But this Milim's looking rough. Gets popped out right here. This is an MLK match.
This is an MLK match indeed. Now we're going to have to put those souls to good use. Guarantee that we get the strip and the pushback, blowing away all those buffs, making them unbuffable in turn. Would have been nice to get that out before the Rimuru, but at this position, it's just going to have to do enough.
Absolutely. Pillis, though, looking at this, goes for the S3. We're not going to wait for souls. No tempo play being made here. Provoke the Conqueror Lilias, our dual attack unit. Resisted, though. That is a huge resist. Going to be able to cheat out a lot more of the utility. Payra goes for the burn on the Ken. She's landed debuffs before, and now we're going to stun the Ken, push a little bit more extra damage on him.
I'm really worried about how this works out from this position here. Actually landing the restrict there, but we're going to need a lot more if we want to be able to stop the wave, the onslaught of aggression coming out of Light's team from here on out.
Bunny Dom now, puts the Conqueror Lilias to sleep. You know, oof.
Bearer's Tooth proc coming through, and you have to also imagine that we're coming back on those turns. We do, however, get the blind up on him as well, but we would have liked to see it on more than just him, I imagine.
And I mean, more importantly, there's just not a clear way for AceTrainer here to deal with the Pillas. And top right comes out. I think Light takes this one. Very clean. Both players are now at 1 apiece.
Chip that armor and show us the cracks underneath. AceTrainer ventures out once again to put down the villainous Light. Now, we've seen these adaptation plays. We've seen the bands changing back and forth once again. We see the Luas are out of this game entirely as our...
That's fine. It's a formality.
I was just about to say, as we obviously see the milim first pick, that I'm like,
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like,
I like how we both froze up. We're like, wait. Oh, okay. We're fine. Oh man, but Light once again goes for this opening. I do like that Bunny Dom Payra. I think there's a lot you can do with it. DJ Bizarre once again coming in. I mean, banned out last game, but he just does way too much versus the Payra, even if he fully activates that Bunny Dom.
Now, I just think I like the idea behind the Bizarre before, but I just don't think he was fast enough to get ahead, put the unbuffable, and really stop a lot of the debilitating effects that were coming out. Once Rimuru gets those buffs, it's hard to put a stop to the tempo he adds to his team. But what other problems do you think you spotted in that last match there, Valky?
I mean, I think you highlighted the most important problem, right? If we looked at their wanted posters, it was more the fact that Light had a speed rating of 11, whereas AceTrainer had a speed rating of 7. And we see Light taking advantage of that fact to full effect. Even though he should have been losing that match of Rimuru versus Bizarre, right? Into the Green Bizarre, this team is not it, but still, because he was just so much faster, his speed tuning plays to a faster degree, I don't think that Bizarre could react, and I think as long as he forces the fact that he's just faster, you know, I think he's always going to have a leg up. I do think Trainer's draft in this match in particular, though, a lot better. We got the Big P, we got the Senya, so going to blast through and just try to punch through this wall right here.
Yeah, the Pillas, well-known and the well-known Pillas abuser. I actually remember a couple of years ago, I was actually locked up in jail. I had done some unfortunate things, a couple in my youth. Don't look up what happened in December 1998 back in Michigan. But when I was locked up there, I saw Ace next to me. I was wondering what he was doing there, but as a well-known Pillas abuser, he had finally been caught by Michigan PD, and we see him going back, reverting to his old tricks once again.
Oh man, that Payra barely surviving to put up the S3. We thought she was going to go down. 2 counterattacks, but Rimuru does take the opportunity to cut upwards. We need to stop this Lionheart Symia for Light.
Oh, we definitely didn't need those defense breaks as well. The pop comes through, and I'm afraid, I'm terrified for the rest of our team making it through from this position.
It's not looking good. We even missed the pushback, but we do get the redirected provoke onto Abyssal Euphine here. Bunny Dom does go for the S3. Doctor's Bag comes through once again and again and again. We've seen Doctor's Bag on Bunny Dominion just carry so much weight right there. Euphine goes, but now she's at 40 stacks. It is only the Pillas and only the Conqueror Lilias. Soulburn comes through for the Pillas. She's going to get a lot of resets, and you are going to need to tempo down this Euphine come that rotation. Oh, just looking so serious. Oh!
The stun, we definitely did not need that stun. As cruel and unusual as the events in Michigan in 1998, Light closes out the match almost immediately. No mercy, no hesitation. He goes for the throat and puts down the AceTrainer once again.
Congratulations.
That was actually played Light.
Light is going to be taking home the $225 on top of, what is it, a total of 3,200 Sky Stones. So a really good day for him. I think absolutely deserved for the performance and the strength he's put out on this Rimuru draft.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming here. I can't say it enough well again. We always enjoy doing these tournaments. I hope you liked some of the new additions. I know the wanted posters some of you guys have been liking. Let us know actually who you want to see on the wanted posters next time, if there's any particular players. We're trying to build up a little bit of a repertoire of them, you know, pull them out during the tournament, give the community something else to get excited about going forward. And Yeah, I'll see you when I get to make Valk shit his pants off in 2024, playing Little Nightmares 3, right?
Oh,
You know,
that's what we're doing. Okay, I was like, we're doing what now? All right, well, that's gonna be it from us for today. Anybody you guys feel like rating in particular? Somebody from E7, VTubers. It's a Sunday, so we are absolutely chilling.
I guess we raid Light, the tournament winner.
Okay.
Didn't we raid him yesterday though?
Yeah, we did.
Our other option is Luke Garland, but he plays Spanish, but you know he plays the Laika stuff.
I mean, we can raid a VTuber. We'll probably go see STG there.
Raid a v
You guys know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we'll go see STG. You know what I mean?
We're really jumping STG. Yeah, tell that motherfucker to DM me, or I don't know his.
We'll let you know. He's in our guild.
Yeah, we know.
I know. I'm fucking disrespecting. No, I'm joking.
All right. Okay. Well, that's our stream for this weekend. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a chill time. We'll rate this we'll rate Queen Cat for STG. So hopefully we'll catch him there. For now, that's it from me, the boys, and hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Take it easy and stay safe out there. See ya.
No, my shit.
See ya.